just over a minute away from starting tonight's show. We're going to launch it. We're going to do really, really well. We're going to do good things tonight, everyone. We're going to have a lot of fun. I don't know where this is going. It's our typical interview. I know you hear me say that a lot, but I just got a feeling about tonight. I got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night. Penman, what's going on? And let's see here. And I hate Facebook. Makes me update it all the time now in order to see messages. Hi, Vivster. Nice to have you in the Facebook. All right. Hey, Raul, thanks for coming on in. We are 30 seconds away. Once again, a great way to support this show, if you're new, is to hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Don't forget to ring the bell. Super Chat is open, and if you want some SOR swag, go to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. Eagle, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Just saw you slip in there. Very nice. 10 seconds, everyone. We're going to have a great show. Sit back, relax, enjoy tonight's show because it's going to be a great one. Here we go. The mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Let's get magical tonight. Yes, let's sprinkle a little glitter all over us because former radio host, mystic, artist, magician Joe Diamond is here. Now, he may look like a normal guy with a fancy, nice, high and tight beard, but he has literally turned his fascination for the strange and mysterious into a full-time career. He is even a world record holder for solving the world's largest corn maze blindfolded. That's actually kind of impressive, to be honest. I'd be hitting stalks all over the place, and those are sharp. Those are sharp. You don't want to run into a corn stalk because it actually has very sharp leaves. Anyways, he's the longest artist in residence at the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake, Illinois, and he's the official mind reader at the Luxurious Maxwell Mansion in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Yes, both buildings are haunted, and he loves the paranormal. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I'm going to bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Joe Diamond, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Look, man, all of us, I think, as kids at one time or another, wanted to be magicians. I mean, I just wanted hair. Oh, yeah. I wanted hair and a mustache, much like Doug. What's his name? Doug
Henning.
Doug Henning. Yes, good Canadian kid.
Yeah, there's a great. If you've got Disney Plus, there's a great episode of him on the Muppet Show. And I'm hoping that that makes people go back and look at him because let's dive right into it. He believed in magic. He gave up a very luxurious career as a stage magician, doing Broadway and tours to practice real magic. He worked on transcendental meditation and claimed to have levitated for real, no tricks, several times. And he was working on building a transcendental, amusement park or something before he died. I think he died fairly young, in I think his mid-50s. But I mean, he was so sincere. He really was that guy who believed in magic, and that's kind of amazing to watch. And I think it was definitely before my time, but at the same time, looking at history and everything, I think it was also one of the few stage magicians, at least of the last 50 years, to really like have their finger on the pulse of culture. Because, I'm not knocking any of these performers. Let me be very, very clear about this. But like, if you look at like, I looked at a poster of David Copperfield's Magic of the 80s, and he's wearing, or Magic of the 90s, sorry. That was like his big tour for 1991. And he's on an 88 Harley with John Stamos hair, early John Stamos hair, wearing like an 80s leather jacket. Then in the early 2000s, late 90s, we get David Blaine's Street Magic, which is very reminiscent of like the early 90s grunge movement. And then in the early 2000s, we get Chris Angel, who looks like a goth rocker, which was popular with Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie in the early 2000s or in the early 90s. And then now we have shows like Penn and Teller Fool Us, which are game shows that are very modeled after shows like America's Got Talent and American Idol, which came out, at the early part of the 2000s. So Magic is always like 10 years behind, it seems. And like Doug Henning, like he had the mustache, he had the long hair, he was a hippie, and he was like right there in the 60s. I think he's like the only magical performer to believe in magic, publicly, to the point he gave up stage magic. And then on top of it, he was the only one that was like really modern in his actual time.
You know who I'm loving these days is Shin Lim.
Shin is awesome. I met him a long time ago before he was famous, but he was definitely Shin Lim at the time. I met him very briefly in passing at a convention. He had just won the world championship, and very nice, very cool, performed a great show. And we all knew it was going to be like big, but like, oh my God. So talk about, the only person ever to win America's Got Talent like twice in the same year. He did that and then did the champions. Like, just insanely talented and really nice guy too.
Watching him, there's that one episode, you can find it on YouTube, where he did this combination act with this British guy. I forget the British guy's name. And
probably Colin Cloud.
Where he went into X, the character X.
Yes. Oh, no. Yes, you're right. That wasn't Colin Cloud. It was there was a magician on Britain's Got Talent, like Magician X, and it was this other British magician that had been on there. And they did an amazing transformation. Yes, that was amazing.
Oh yeah, that was great. The one thing I love about magic, and I'm sure many of our audience members listening will agree with this, is there's something very, very tantalizing that brings us back to our childhood.
Sure.
In watching magicians perform acts, and whether it's with cards or ribbons or whatever it may be, there's just something, pun intended, magical about that.
Yes.
So what is the attraction that we have to magic?
Well, I think it's the same attraction we have to the paranormal. It's that attraction to the unknown. Growing up, I watched movies like Ghostbusters and read ghost stories, and I was like 7, and I read about the Orson Welles radio War of the Worlds broadcast. Orson Welles is actually grew up in the town I was born in, Woodstock, Illinois, and so I like recorded a radio broadcast of aliens invading on a cassette player and played it for some of my neighborhood kids as if that was a radio thing. One of the kids cried. She was 4, but still, that was enough. That
you made that impact. You made that impact.
And I was really fascinated with all of that stuff. And then I got a magic kit, and I learned how to read palms, and got more into like the metaphysical stuff, and actual paranormal investigations and all these things. And it took me a long time to realize, like, it all came from the same place. It all came from this place of this love of mystery and the unknown. And performance magic has always had a very, we'll just say for now, interesting history with the paranormal. I mean, we've got Harry Houdini trying to bust mediums in the early 20th century. We've got magicians who have, like, devils and other like spiritual beings on their shoulders for like on their advertising. And it's always invoked this idea of we don't know everything yet. Magicians have been at the forefront of technology. George Méliès, a modern pioneer, or sorry, not modern, but the pioneer of special effects in cinema in the early early 20th century, late 19th century. And he was a magician. And you just look at like all these things. Johnny Carson, the grandfather of talk shows, was an amateur magician. Steve Martin, a comedy legend, got his start with magic. So it's always been on the fringes, kind of, you know, like as far back as you trace it to early shamanism and everything else, magic has always been meant to like the other. Like, they have magic, we have religion. You know, we have prophecy, they have divination. Magic has always been something to kind of be like pushed aside, or the other. We don't quite understand that. It's foreign to us. We don't know. And it goes through today. Like, even though I specialize in more mind reading type magic and, you know, the paranormal and the stranger side of magic, where some of what I do is psychologically an illusion, some of what I do is absolutely genuine, and it's not my job to tell people which is which, much like a wrestler not breaking kayfabe. And so I when people think like, oh, do you like pull rabbits out of hats? Do you do like kids parties? And it's like, I haven't done kids parties since I was a kid. But like, I used to get annoyed when it was like, oh, they don't understand the kind of art I do and everything I bring to it, what I'm trying to work through with it. But then I realized, oh no, this is not a new thing. It's always been, magic has always been that thing on the fringes, and it's always one of those things too, where like the people who dislike it usually, not always, but usually are the ones who are not okay with mystery in general. They're the ones who have to be like, they're the worst people in the world to watch movies with. Like, you know, hey, I don't think the Johnny Depp guy is really a pirate. You know what I mean? Yep. Like those are usually the ones who. And it's funny because I've heard people say, I don't like magic. It's like, well, what are you talking about? You probably love Disney. You probably love reading a good science fiction novel or reading a murder mystery. And it's like, I think we call it different things. For some people, magic is love. For some people, magic is God. For some people, it's luck. For some people, it's Disney. And it's that feeling that we get. All those things are meant to give us that feeling, whether it's, like you said, a piece of sleight of hand, whether it's a piece of mind reading, a spooky story, or whatever. It's all meant to cause us to have an unreal reaction to something that's unreal itself. And don't let anyone say that's not real. Just like you wouldn't let someone say your love for your family or whatever, kind of movie you like is not real, you know?
I got to ask you, one of the magicians I follow, he's a Canadian out of Montreal, Chris Ramsay. And,
yes, I've met Chris. I've met Chris a number of times.
And
Super nice guy.
We've started we have a mutual friend. I don't know if you've ever heard of Nelson Dellis, who's the 4-time United States memory champion.
I have.
He's been on the show a couple of times talking about how he almost died twice on Mount Everest. And anyways, long story short, I'm watching Chris Ramsay one day and I see Nelson Dellis on there, and I'm like, I immediately Facebook Nelson. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing with Chris Ramsay? He's like, oh man, you got to meet this guy. He's just absolutely phenomenal. So Chris and I now follow each other on Twitter.
Cool.
And he's got a brand new television show coming out here in Canada called Big Trick Energy. But you know, it's
going to be here in the U.S. too, I think.
But the one thing that I learned about him and how I learned about him wasn't because of his magic. I got addicted to that later. But every Wednesday he puts out a puzzle where he solves puzzles on his YouTube channel. And like, I think when I subscribed to him, he was at around like 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now he's over 4.5 million.
Yeah. I had just met him when he had just passed 2 million. I run a youth program for the U.S.'s oldest gathering of magicians. It's called Magi Fest. It's in Columbus, Ohio every year. And the greatest magicians and mentalists and mind readers and psychic entertainers in the world gather there. And he was there, and all the kids were going nuts over him. And he came in and free of charge on his own time, came in and chatted with all the kids about being a professional, doing magic, following what you enjoy doing. And like, he was so nice, so kind, so phenomenal. And like, just one of the most down to earth people in this industry too. So if Chris is great. If you haven't, look at his YouTube channel. Yeah, like you said, his puzzle boxes are amazing. All his stuff is great.
But the reason why I bring him up is when he's doing these amazing puzzles, and we're not talking, jigsaw puzzles. We're talking solving like lock puzzles and these amazing pieces of art that have been turned into puzzles. I mean, I never knew a puzzle could get $20,000-$30,000, but that is what he's working on. But it's how the mind works and how his mind is always thinking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. And then I started watching the magic. And it's like, okay, now I'm seeing how this works. It's not really. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. All right, but the one thing I will say is I like to watch people and how they do things. And watching him solve these level 10 puzzle. And I realize this really doesn't have much to do with Spaced Out Radio, but we are making good conversation.
Okay. That's the whole point. Yeah.
When I watch him do these puzzles and he's talking his way on what his mind is thinking as he's trying to solve this impossibility, it's amazing. I mean, to be a musician, a magician.
That's okay.
how do you work your brain to be that 2, 3, 4 steps ahead?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. You have to. Let's just quote all the magicians tonight. Teller of Penn and Teller said, creating a piece of magic is like writing a beautiful piano concerto and then having to invent a piano. And that's so true. I have that happen so many times where it's like, so I do a show at the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake, and it seats 13 people at a time. So that way everyone who comes gets to get their mind read and be a part of the experience. And it's in this historic building, which is genuinely haunted, and genuinely weird things do happen there, and I incorporate some of that into my work. And the whole way I approach that is, okay, I kind of approach it like an episode of Twilight Zone. I think about like, okay, these people have gotten a ticket to see a mind reader in a haunted mansion where he's going to talk to them about time travel for an hour. And there's only 13 people allowed. Why are there 13 people allowed? Why do we have to bring a broken watch? Why is it at this time? Why does he only do this? And like, why does he have to do it in this location? And there's so many questions going on. And again, like that's like a real life Twilight Zone episode. You could open on, we've been told to come to this spooky mansion. There's 13 of us. And a guy here claims he's going to read our minds and talk about time travel or talk about different mystics from throughout history and use crystal balls and tarot cards and all this stuff. So I always look at it from the standpoint of the audience. And then I have to think, so when that happens, I have the ending in mind. So if I decide, okay, I want an experience where this is just off the top of my head right now in my work, but I want an experience where, again, all 13 people are in the room. I borrow an object from someone and I send it back in time to before the show and I have undeniable proof of it. That's what I want. So I'm already at the end. Now I have to work backwards. So the reason at least in my situation, the reason I'm so many steps ahead is because I literally started at the end. I literally saw it, to use a chess analogy, I saw the checkmate board that I wanted and then worked backwards through all those moves to get you into that point. Because here's the other thing too. Even when I've done something that's real, I'll use a simple example here. I do a stunt that was taught to me by a sideshow and sword swallower performer. It's called the human blockhead. And basically you take a real hammer and a real nail and hammer the nail up your nose. And there's a place to go in. The nail does not collapse. I see you getting uncomfortable already. And I have people examine the nail. It's real. There is a technique to it. There's a place in the head where it's got to go so I don't injure myself and everything. But like the nail doesn't collapse. It's not an optical illusion. It is, for all intents and purposes, real. And yet I still have people coming up to me going, does that nail collapse? Do you switch it? Do you do this? Do you do that? So even when I'm doing something that's real, I still have to think, okay, how are people going to think this is done if it's a trick? And then I have to disprove it. I have to have them sign the nail. I have to have them examine the nail. And, well, if they examine it, I have to sterilize it afterwards because their grubby hands were just all over it. So how do I do that without, them thinking I switched it? So even when I'm starting from the standpoint of this is totally real with, like, again, a sideshow piece or a piece of mind reading or intuition, I still have to work backwards and figure out, okay, how do we get there so that when we do get there, they have no avenues to get out. It is for lack of a better term, a mental checkmate. And I don't think you can have that magical experience without first taking in all the possible ways it could be done, or all the normal ways it could be done, until the floor opens up out from under you and you have that strange experience right then and there.
The hands, it's all about the sleight of hands. The hand is quicker than the eye?
No, I use no sleight of hand in my work. I use no sleight of hand in my work. I use a lot of psychology. I do use a lot of economy of motion. For example, like I'll do a lot of, for example, if I have like a deck of tarot cards on the table and I'm using it for a story, or even just giving a reading or using it for mind reading, I like to think like, okay, well, I want to get this out of the way because if I spread the cards, they're going to knock into the box. So when I put the cards down, I should also put the box away, so that way it's out of the way for the next thing. Again, like you were talking about, thinking one step ahead. If you think one step ahead enough, you do not need sleight of hand. I have very tiny hands. Like some magicians will like hide cards and coins in their hands. Like here, let me just grab a playing card real quick to show you. Like my hand, like a playing card will not fit on my hand. Like it's you see it sticks out and everything. Like I can't hide these in my hand. So I had to come up with ways to rely more on, again, psychology, my own intuition, and there are other techniques that I use to sometimes enhance the effect, but other times those are more theatrical things rather than outright sleight of hand. If that makes sense. I love sleight of hand. I love watching sleight of hand. I love watching, again, like you said, Shin Lim and Chris Ramsay. They do amazing sleight of hand. But yeah, if you watch my virtual shows online, like I'm doing stuff in people's homes, so I can't really be relying on sleight of hand for that, We've
got about 2 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Dark magic. I mean, everybody tends to think, and we could carry this conversation over when we come back from the break, but everybody tends to think that magic has something to do with the devil and evil. I mean, the religious society, don't go see a musician. There I go, number 2.
It's okay. Well,
we're going to put a count on
those
that.
Either. They say don't see musicians because they're in league with the devil with all that rock and roll music.
That damn rock and roll music.
I think I have a lot of feelings about that because I've been called the devil both humorously and not humorously. I went to 12 years of Baptist school, and now I'm a paranormal mind reader for a living. Yay! I had my cards, just playing cards, taken away from me in school, saying like, these shouldn't be here and everything. So then I started reading minds and doing all that stuff. I think a big part of it is people like tend to put a box around the unknown. I think it's easier to just call the unknown something evil, so then you don't have to deal with it. We can get more into that after the break, but also we can try some mind reading stuff with you and your listeners if you want after the break.
Oh,
too.
we can definitely do that. We're going to get into a lot of stuff, but
Sweet.
Have magicians done themselves? We got about 45 seconds. Have they done themselves any favor by not to sound too prototypical, but with pentagrams and blood and smoke and darkness and fear factor?
I think it's the magician's job to, again, give people the feeling of the unknown, and sometimes you gotta, like all good artists, poke the bear and maybe take things a little too far sometimes in order to A, get attention, or B, be remembered.
Works for me, man.
There we go.
If it works for you, it works for me.
And we can talk more about it in the next segment.
Absolutely. That's what we're going to do. Our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, Joe Diamond. His website, joediamondlive.com. And if you're in Illinois, if you're in Wisconsin, this is a guy you're going to want to know. This is a guy you're going to go want to see once this whole COVID stuff is over. Make it happen. joediamondlive.com is his website. More on magic, mind control, mental mind games, and the paranormal next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear, man.
Awesome. This is fun.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate this.
One thing too, and we can mention this with the next break. The virtual show, I've had people watching all over the world watching that too. So hopefully by the end of this summer, I'll be doing in-person shows again, getting the vaccine hopefully soon in a couple weeks. But people all over the world can watch the Zoom show too.
Nice.
So that's been fun too, to just have like people like Varla's seen it a couple times. Like Varla's seen me more in the last year. Like we've only met in person once, but she's been able to see like 3 of my shows this year now that they're virtual and neither of us have to travel. So
I love Varla Ventura. She's here somewhere. I know she's tuned in somewhere.
Yeah, she texted me earlier saying she was tuned in. Real quick, since we got a quick break, I'm gonna go kiss my wife goodnight, and I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
So
you do that. I like this guy. Joe Diamond is real deal, man. He's a nice person. You can just tell. You can tell. Nice person. You know who's a nice person? Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He was rocking. I got to tell you, if you haven't seen my interview, hey, Nicholas Shaughnessy, how are you? If you haven't seen my interview with Bigfoot Michigan Rob today talking Bigfoot, I'm telling you, I swore he was going to go all Hulkamania. He had the yellow bandana on with the yellow shirt. I was expecting at any time for him to rip it on open and throw the shirt into the crowd. I was waiting for it. It didn't happen. Hi, gorgeous Becky Belling. How are you? Welcome back.
Back.
All right. James in Germany. How are you, man? Thank you for coming in. All right. Joe Diamond, there he is.
Back.
There he is, everyone. The lovely and talented Joe Diamond. Yeah, I am just addicted to Chris Ramsay's puzzles, man.
Yeah.
I'm like 3 years into that. 3 years into that, and it's just...
I remember when he did, like, his first one, and he was like, you guys want to see more of these? And then those just took off. It was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I've seen every puzzle episode that he has had. And
awesome.
then when I'm stuck, I have to go over to Mr. Puzzle's channel to watch him. Hello,
Sweet.
The pride of Brandon, Manitoba. The gorgeous and talented Manitoba Becky is here. Bobby Younce, you're looking gorgeous tonight. Thank you for joining us. Brian Smith, you got too much Pornhub on your mind, man. Too much Pornhub on your mind. Yeah, I've been trying to egg Chris Ramsay to come on the show, so I really want to get him.
Yeah, he'd be fun to chat to. I mean, probably with the TV show coming out, he'll have to promote it, so probably worth it. Not sure he'd remember me, but I mean, so you can try dropping my name if he does remember me. We have a lot of mutual friends, but I have no idea, like, because again, those conventions are always crazy. But I'm sure if I like sent him the video of it and said, "Hey, thanks again for doing this," he'd be like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, you're Christian's friend." But if you're into puzzles and everything, something else you should look up is Scam Nation, formerly Scam School. My buddy Brian Brushwood, he teaches. I've done some stuff on there. He teaches some magic tricks, but he also teaches like bar bets and puzzles.
Oh, nice.
And normally he does them at the bar, but since COVID hit, for the last year he's been teaching them to his daughter.
Oh, nice.
And they are hilarious, like trying to figure out these puzzles and everything. You see her like trying to figure it out and puzzle it out. And
Scam Nation, it's called?
Giddy. Yeah.
Okay.
Formerly Scam School. So
all right.
That's...
Give me a couple seconds here because we got about 35 before we're going on air. Hello, Brandy Phillips. Welcome to the show. I can't read your mind. I can't. I'm not that guy. Joe Diamond is. I'm not.
We'll try something. We'll try something in the next next segment.
Just so you guys know who are asking, I have retired my impersonation of the Iron Sheik. Okay, I have retired it for right now. You know, just gotta let that go. Gotta let that go. A big thank you to Cat Chaser for the awesome super chat tonight. Thank you, Cat Chaser. We love you. Lynn Sows, nice to see you. We're gonna get going here in 4 seconds. Second half hour is underway on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We're hanging on out, talking a little magic tonight. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Hey, one of our chatters in the chat room, he's not in there tonight, but Nate Rudd, who's been a guest on this show, just sent me this incredible video that just happened, I guess, through Washington State and Oregon. There's just been a giant meteor breaking up in the atmosphere over top, and it's just showing sparks all over. Man, if you saw that, you are lucky. Lucky. I've only seen it a couple of times in my life, but wow, that is so cool. Anyways, Joe Diamond is our guest tonight. His website, joediamondlive.com. He's a magician. He is a mind reader. He is really into the paranormal, and apparently he drops a good elbow if you're looking to get into a wrestling match with him. Joe, welcome back.
I wish. Maybe a mind elbow and a mind wrestle. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not totally
sure. I set that up for you beautifully.
I know. I'm terrible. Well, all right.
There you go. Hey, right before the break, we were talking about what it's like and the reputation magic has.
Yeah.
About the dark side and using real occult-like imagery to bring the magic up. Is that just part of the act, or do some get so into the magic they really want to go old school and make it what it was, say, 200, 300, 400 years ago?
I think it's a bit of both. I think, I definitely use a lot of, for example, I do a weekly show over Zoom every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central. If anyone wants to find out more about it and more details about it, again, joediamondlive.com. But, in the show, I use pendulums at one point, and those are things that people use a lot in their spirit practice and everything else. And we basically use them to talk to ghosts in people's homes. And I don't have a trick that goes with that. I just teach people how to use a pendulum in it. So I think having a couple of different layers of things that I can teach people to help, encourage with that. I also use a little bit of not hypnosis, but suggestion, some psychological ploys with that type of stuff. There are times where I'm trusting my own intuition. I have people hold objects up to their screens, and I rub my hands together, and I try to read that object's energy through the screen, and then they do it with me. So, yeah, and in one of my shows, I close it by picking up a Ouija board and blindfolding myself and seeing if I can use it to spell out the name of a dead celebrity someone else is thinking of. There's video of that on my social media. If you look around, there's lots of photos of me doing that. And I'm not using it to communicate with a spirit. I'm using it to communicate with the person. They've got their hands on my shoulders and everything else. But, I know that when I pick up that Ouija board, you can feel the energy in the room shift. Whether you believe in the Ouija board or not, the energy in the room shifts at that moment. I like invoking the moment because I get a lot of people coming to shows going, oh, I'm a skeptic. Oh, I don't believe in this stuff and everything else. It's I don't care how much you don't believe in ghosts. If you go through a graveyard at midnight, you're going to get creeped out. I think it was Francis Bacon who said, I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm scared of them. And I think that's true of all of us. Whether you believe in it or not, there's something deeper that goes deeper into our subconscious than just our beliefs, and really brings that stuff out. And again, that's a nice, interesting little psychological backdoor for me to get into with some people as well. That's kind of fun too.
For magic, though, it's been going on for centuries.
Oh yeah, there's a joke often that it's there's jokes often that it's the world's second oldest profession.
True enough.
Yeah,
true enough. Prostitution being number one.
Yes,
but
yes.
The history of it going back millennia, where they were called mystics, sorcerers, names like that, sorceresses, shamans. You know, back then it was very much believed that there was no sleight of hand, that it was true magic happening. Did that really shift, or is magic just magic?
I don't know, because like there's a lot of, if you look at like, just for example, there's so many things. There's so much ritual where there, again, isn't sleight of hand or any deception going on, but there's still that feeling. And yeah, I think if they did incorporate sleight of hand into those rituals, I don't think it would matter. Like, it wouldn't matter if you saw the sleight of hand or busted it or saw the trick, because it's about the overall experience. You know, like I don't think people were also that gullible back then. I think without getting too much into it, there's plenty of things that people are gullible about now. We won't get into it, but like there's plenty of things. So I think people were just as, I think in some ways we are more civilized, but I think we all still crave, it doesn't matter how technologically advanced we get, we all still crave that feeling. And I think that's going to be with us for a long time. And I don't think technology is going to kill it. I don't think education or knowledge. I actually feel the more educated, people sometimes say, well, I'm dumb, I'm done. I actually think dumber people are harder to impress with magic. Because like I've had people just say the dumbest stuff. They go, oh, I know how you did that. You didn't really write it down before. You have a printer in your pocket that prints the card once we say it. Like, wait, what? Really? What? Really think about the words you're saying. So yeah. And again, like in some cases, like I also like the idea of like doing magic with no deception, just saying like, this is how I'm doing it. This is a way psychology works, and we can give it a shot. On that note, you want to give something a shot?
Sure. Let's try it.
Okay, we can actually do this with you and all the listeners. I'm actually going to have the chat up here. Okay, good. Because here's how this is going to work. Rather than in a moment, I'll try and pick up on your thoughts because I can actually see you, so I can kind of read you a little bit better. Do you have a pen and paper?
I do.
Okay, get ready for in a moment. You won't need it for this first part. For this, before I try and pick up on your thoughts, I'm going to give you and all of the listeners a chance to pick up on my thoughts. This will give us a chance to get warmed up, give you a chance to see how this stuff really works, and finally give me a chance to see who, in the chat specifically on YouTube, is the most intuitive and intelligent for this. So here's how this is going to work. If you're watching the YouTube, you can't see me. But if you're just listening, that's fine. Just be still for a moment. Take a deep breath and exhale, or you'll suffocate. Very good. I'm going to think about a memory from my past. I'm going to project it through the radio waves from Canada to the U.S., all over the world. We'll see how many people receive the psychic transmission. Dave, please do not shout your answers out loud. And also, you and everyone else, don't think about it too much. Go with whatever pops in your head first. Okay, so I've got the memory in mind. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, get in your mind a direction on a compass. Lock it in your mind. Don't change it. Remember that direction. All right? Take another deep breath. And as you exhale, get in your mind a flower. Lock it in your mind. Don't change it. All right. The last one's going to be the most difficult one. Take the deepest breath of all. As you exhale, get in your mind a piece of furniture. All right, you should have 3 items in mind. You can open your eyes right now, Dave. This is a pretty common memory that many people have probably had something similar with. I was thinking about the memory of going to visit my grandparents when I was a kid. We would get in the car, and to get to my grandparents, we would start by traveling north. So if you got north, or if anyone else in the chat got north, let us know. The flowers that were growing out front were roses. My grandmother always loved planting roses. And when we would go in, I would hug my grandmother. She would sit in her favorite chair, and I would sit on the couch. So if you or any of the listeners got north, rose, or couch, or chair as well. Oh, we got a lot who got it. It looks like James in Germany got North Rose and Couch. Looks like Raul Julia got North Rose and Couch. How'd you do, Scott? What'd you get?
I got West, Daffodil, and Couch.
Okay, so you got 1 out of the 3. That's still pretty good. And that was one of the hardest ones, too. So, because again, like there's a million items of furniture in people's homes. So several people just got 1. Now, if you got all 3 right, you're the more creative people. You're more intuitive. If you only got 2 or 3, 1 or 2 right, that's okay. You're the ones who are good collaborators. You really think about what you're going to think about before you think about it. And if someone got none of them right, that's okay. These are the types of people who are usually better at generating information than being open to other people's ideas. Don't feel bad, because some of our best scientists and best artists typically are in this third group. So this gives us a lot of people in the chat got 3 out of 3, so that's great. This does help me see a little bit how you do think, Scott. So let's take this a step further. Do you have your pen and paper ready?
I do.
Now, just to be clear, on the camera I'm seeing and on the YouTube camera, if you were to write something on that piece of paper, there's no way I could see it, right?
Right.
Just to be clear about that? Okay.
Right.
Here's what I want you to do. Before you write anything down, I want to do a quick thought experiment, because we've all been thinking about weird things this last year, right? And one of the things I've been thinking about is parallel universes. Like the idea that just on the other side of this reality, there's a parallel universe. And my favorite parallel universe to think about is one where everything is the opposite. Like, for example, in this parallel universe, I'm the radio host and you're a mind reader. That's my guest. Maybe there's, everyone gets up at night and sleeps all day. And in that parallel universe, everyone has been stuck outside for the last year. So and I know this is a big idea, so we're going to keep this idea of a paranormal universe simple. Scott, I'd like you to write down a 3-digit number. Now, make sure all the digits are different. Don't just do like 111. That's obvious. And don't do any zeros, because if you do 001, then that's just 1, So no zeros. Make them all different. Write it down. And I think you'd agree there's no way I could know what number you just wrote down. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. But think about this. In that parallel universe, the other you would have written down the opposite. They would have written down those 3 digits reversed, right? So
right.
Go ahead and reverse those 3 digits. So if you wrote down like 1, 2, 3, write down 3, 2, 1. Okay. And you tell me, would you add those 2 numbers together, or would you subtract them?
I'm an adder.
You're an adder. Okay. So that means in the parallel universe, that other you would subtract them. So do that for me now. Subtract the lower number from the higher number. If you need to pull up a calculator, or you need to go ahead if you want to, that's fine.
Just making sure you can't see my phone.
Yeah, make sure I can't see. Keep it out of frame, and subtract the smaller number from the larger one. And again, in that parallel universe, they'd be doing the opposite. So now you should have a number in front of you that even you didn't know you'd be thinking of, and there's no way anyone could know what that final number is, right?
Right.
Is it still a 3-digit number?
Yes.
Okay. Concentrate on that 3-digit number and keep it out of sight so there's no way I can see it. And just do me a favor and count from 1 to 9 for me. I'm going to be listening to your voice, but I'm also going to be trusting my own intuition here as well. And the people listening, whether they're listening after the fact or watching or listening live now, they'll be able to follow along with me. So count from 1 to 9, go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, first thing I'm going to say is that all of the digits are different. None of them repeat. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, do me a favor and count from 1 to 9 once more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, interesting. Okay, your voice really, really dropped on 9. Don't tell me if it's in there, but I think there is a 9 in there. I still have to figure out if it's at the beginning, middle, or at the end. Focus on just the first number for me. And actually, could you do me a favor and just really quick look at the camera that I can see on Skype, just so I can see your face real quick, and focus. Okay, I don't think that's the 9. I'm going to say the first digit is a 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
It is. And, okay, I think if I've done this correctly, the next digit would be the 9. And I think the last digit, I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to say it's 7. I'm going to say it's 297. How'd we do?
You did well. You did well.
Is that it? Is that seriously it?
That's it, yes.
Can we see it? Can we see it in all seriousness?
Well, it's on my calculator that I
But you're not making that up. That was genuinely it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is, 297. There we go. So, because again, I didn't want people to think you were just playing along or something. But oh my God, this is so weird. Oh, this is what. Have you ever experienced deja vu?
Yes.
Scott? It just happened to me. I have dreams and they've been coming true in weird roundabout ways. Like, for example, a couple of Halloweens ago, I had a dream of a bunch of pumpkins that had Donald Trump's face carved into them. And 2 days later, Trumpkins was trending online. Pull up your phone. I know you might not believe me, but go on my Instagram. Everyone go on my Instagram. My Instagram is @JoeDiamondLive. I can't believe this. Seriously, go to it. I'm going to pull it up. It's @JoeDiamondLive on Instagram. Everyone do this. Because, again, you could have picked any numbers. You could have added them up. I think one or two listeners, if they followed along, I think they might have gotten the same number. But I think, obviously, most people would get the different number. Odds of averages, someone would get the same number as you. But if you look, you'll notice my most recent photo is I posted around 4 hours ago talking about tonight. It's a ghost photo that I took at the Dole Mansion. But if you look at the photo I posted right before that, 6 hours ago, it says, and I even timed, I took a quick cat nap because we'd be up late tonight. You will see, I actually had a dream of a house number.
Oh my!
And that house number is 297. That's genuinely on Instagram from 6 hours ago. I also had a dream. I don't know if this is going to happen or if this is going to be literal, but you'll notice I did have a dream about the White House being haunted. So maybe there's a listener who owns a White House who's haunted. If that's the case, let us know. Maybe there'll be a news article about the White House being haunted, or maybe it's just a metaphor because it's built on an Indian burial ground. Who knows? But I'm going to consider the 297 a good hit. Oh my God, that's awesome.
That is kind of cool. Good job.
Man.
Good job.
Thank you. So yeah, so that's the kind of mind reading stuff I've been doing over Zoom for the last year, which has been its own unique challenge, but that's also kind of fun about it too, is that, you know, it's fun to be able to, you know, it's great to come to a haunted mansion and have people experience mind reading, of course. But like the fact that I'm able to connect with people and do this with people all over the world, like a couple times a week now. I've been able to do events for companies like in Washington, D.C. and Napa Valley and all this stuff. And the fact I get to connect with so many people without leaving the house is a true joy. So yeah, so there's a little glimpse into life of a mind reader there.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Good job for you. Good job.
Thank you.
Oh, man. I love magic. Love it.
Right? Gets you thinking, right?
I know. Like, my mind is spinning right now trying to think. Like, I actually did another 3-digit number exactly the same way, and it came out the wrong calculation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it is obviously a different number each time, obviously, but like, yeah, it's not, but that's the fun of it. I mean, for that, again, like if I have someone just do like one number or something like that, and I like to give everything a story too. Like I like to talk about, it'd be one thing if I just told you, think of a number, I'll try and guess your number. Okay, cool. What else you got? But I like invoking the ideas again of like parallel universes. And one of my shows, all the mind reading is based around different mystics from throughout history. In this virtual show, it's called Parapsychology. because everything in it is based in either the paranormal, psychology, or both. And it's kind of fun to like just do it all and have people decide for themselves which they think it is, you know?
I got to ask you, as we got about 4 minutes here, you know, with magic or even something like that, you have to be a brain at numbers. You have to be a brain with your brain. And I think there's a logical solution for it. Not trying to be skeptical.
No, that's fine.
But I'm sure there's a logical solution to that because, you know, when you go 1 to 9, there's only so many combinations that work. And it's an odds.
Sure, there's still a lot. But
yes. Okay. And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to debunk or anything like that. But
no, that's fine.
But I will say this. For you, is there real magic out there that...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like not sleight of hand, not, you know, not Chris Angel type stuff or David Blaine or pardon me, David Copperfield. I think the closest one that's come is probably David Blaine because he manipulates his body so much.
Yeah. Like I said before, like, I mean, we experience real magic whenever we have that encounter with the unknown. We always have that case. Here's one other example of that. Actually, this is one of my favorite things, and it is one of the closest thing to real magic that I think is the case. Normally, in a card trick, a magician would have you spread out a deck of cards and have you pick one. In this case, we're going to do the opposite. I just picked one, Dave. I turned one card over in the deck here. You can see me on camera. Everyone else can hear this. And keep me honest, this deck is going to stay in frame, okay? I'm not going to do any sleight of hand. I'm not going to, like, dip it out of frame, bring it up, or anything like that. It's going to stay right here. Dave, I want you to look at me, and I'm going to send you the card I turned over. The only hint you get is that there's no jokers, and I didn't turn over the Ace of Spades or the Queen of Hearts. Those are too obvious, okay? But look at me and just name the card you think I turned over.
7 of Hearts. 7
of Hearts. Do you want to change your mind to another one? Does that feel right? Do you want to stick with it? What do you think?
9 of Clubs.
Interesting. So there's something about that 7 of Hearts that didn't feel right, and then the 9 of Clubs felt better, right?
Yes.
Watch carefully, because as I said, I turned over one card in this deck, okay? As I said, you can see the top card is the only card I turned over in the whole deck, right?
Yes.
And that card is...
Oh, son of a bitch.
9 of Clubs.
Oh, I shouldn't swear. I shouldn't swear on the air. Oh, wow. Oh, I love it. I love it. I wish I'm going to tell you, this is what we're going to do one night, because I'm in the process of changing my computer sound around. Okay, so that way I could get video to our YouTube channel.
Yep.
But I just have to move some stuff on my computer. When that happens, I'm going to bring you back. You bring a couple of your magic friends, and we'll do like a magic show.
We'll do it
for the audience.
Actually, no joke. So if someone wants to see something like that, again, every Friday I do my virtual show. You're, of course, welcome to join us at any time. But I'll be more than willing to do parts of that show next time I come on, and I'll put together a couple other new surprises as well. That's what's fun about this, is that you get to experience this from the comfort of your home all over the world, from the U.S. to Canada.
That's just incredible, man. Incredible. Right? I don't know how you did that, but you know what? We'll do like a Saturday night special show.
Perfect.
On that.
I'm down.
You know, that way there's no radio restrictions. We could do it on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I'm cheap that way, and I want to make sure everybody hits that for our archives. But I'm just thinking, wow, man. Wow. That 9 of Clubs now is blowing me away.
Sweet.
Just blowing me away. I almost wish my son was here. He's down away for spring break visiting family, but I almost wish my little son was here so he could actually see that. He'd be mesmerized.
Well, bring him to the show. I'm doing one on April Fool's Day, and then the show is every Friday at 8 Central. So if you want to come, let me know.
I will. Joe Diamond is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Magic, intuition. How do you read minds? We're going to find out next with Joe Diamond. JoeDiamondLive.com is his website. Magic and the Paranormal. It's a fun night tonight on the mighty SOR. All right, man, I'm clear. I'm just going to run my dogs outside, okay?
Go ahead. Sorry, I almost made you swear on the air.
No, I did say son of a bitch.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, it did slip out? Oh,
yeah,
man.
It slipped out. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Natural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
All right. In the Spreaker chat, Human Carl is here, everyone. Human Carl. Not to be misconstrued with Alien Carl. We got Human Carl here, everyone. Human Carl. We love him around here. We love our veterans around here. Human Carl's a veteran, so make sure you clap your hands.
Thank you.
For Human Carl. We love him. And all our veterans who tune into this show. And, Katie, I got your photo. Nice pic that you sent. Hi, Shar. All right. James Smith, how you doing? We got just over a minute to go here. And who am I missing? Making sure that... oh, cool. Yeah, if you want to tune in to Joe Diamond, use promo code Spaced Out Radio.
Yeah.
Get 20% off your ticket. Thanks, Joe, for doing that for our listeners.
Yep, that's
very
exclusively for the listeners, and yeah, it works for both. Works for all ticket types. So if they want to see just the show, that's fine. But got premium ticket that includes like digital goodies, some videos, and like some books on how to like read body language and psychometry and such. And then there's a VIP where you get like a reading with me after the show too. So that code works for all of them.
Beauty.
Just for Spaced Out listeners.
Beauty. All right, we got about 24 seconds. Thank you for the double super chat there, Cat Chaser. You are amazing. Absolutely love you. Thank you so much for your continued support of Spaced Out Radio. New listeners, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. And ring that bell so you know when we're going to go live. Here we go in 5 seconds.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Unguiculate. Unguiculate is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with our guest, Joe Diamond. JoeDiamondLive.com is his website. He's a magician. He is a mind reader. He's into the paranormal. And we're going to turn it up a little bit on mind control and mind reading tonight. Joe, welcome back, man.
Thanks for having me. This has been a blast so far.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, man.
Again, sorry, I made you swear in the first segment. To make it up to you, I made a special code for your listeners. If you go to if you want to see the virtual show on Fridays, go to JoeDiamondLive.com. Click on the banner at the top of the homepage. It'll take you to the place to get tickets for my virtual mind reading show over Zoom every week. And before checkout, use the promo code Spaced Out Radio, all one word, all capitalized. You'll get 20% off your ticket, any ticket time, and any ticket version, any date as well. There's no blackouts on it or anything. So
that's very cool, man.
So that to make up for the potential swearing, I apologize again.
I love it. Thank you for taking care of our listeners like that. I want to ask you, what intrigues you about the human mind that you're able to control yours, or how did you train your mind in order to work with people?
I've read a lot of books. I would go to the library and read books on everything from, sci-fi to, quantum mechanics. Those Mysteries of the Unknown books that, who was it? Was it Time Life that put them out? The ones with like the silver lettering on the black spines that had everything from like time travel to mind over matter to hauntings, all that stuff. I read all those books at the library. My parents wouldn't let me check them out or take them home, so I'd have to read them while I was at the library. Great thing about those books, they have big words in them. So by the time I got to second grade, I had a 12th grade reading level, which sounds impressive. I still had a 12th grade reading level. I peaked early. And so I read as much as I could. I was an only child. I wasn't very social growing up, but like it was one of those things where like it wasn't until like my early teens that I really started coming out of my shell and, started telling ghost stories at campfires with family. And then like we said earlier, got a little bit more into magic and mind reading. I learned how to read palms. My crush was going on and on about how she wanted to get her palm read. And I lied. I said I knew how to read palms, thinking this would get me a date. Like, oh yeah, let's hang out on Thursday and I'll read your palm. She didn't do that. She just held her hand out right then and there. So I just took her hand and I didn't know what any of the lines meant. I just didn't filter. I just said what came to me intuitively in the moment. I thought I was just making stuff up, but it was hitting, and she was amazed. And I was amazed at how well we connected. And then I looked up and she had a line of 3 of her friends behind her. And I was like, okay, less card tricks, more this. And so I got a book from the library of Richard Webster's palm reading for beginners. And I got to meet Richard virtually through my radio show a few years later. And he's been a phenomenal mentor and resource. He's another person you should get on the show. He's written over 100 books on different metaphysical topics, everything from Is Your Pet Psychic to the Encyclopedia of Superstitions to palmistry for beginners. He's a phenomenal person. And yeah, so because of that, like magic usually there's the cliche of the kid in their bedroom by themselves practicing card tricks. But for mind reading, you have to be social. You can't sit in your room and practice it on your own. You have to go out and try it. But I had to mask it. I had to I'd start by having people think of cards and try and guess them. So that way, if anyone was worried, I could just say, oh yeah, it's a card trick. See, I'm not in league with the devil. Cause like you said earlier, I did have family members warn me, like, be careful with this magic stuff. Cause Satan can use it as an in. And that just made me want to do it more. So yeah, I don't have any like major formal training. I'm very much in many cases an armchair theorist when it comes to a lot of this type of stuff. But like I've been able to turn it into a career, and I specialize in, again, the more mind reading stuff. I've done dream interpretations in my corporate shows. And yeah, I've got, that's the other thing too. I've got like 5 different hours of material. Each of my shows is about an hour, and each show. So if you saw the virtual show, came and saw me at the studio at the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake, and also booked me for a corporate event for your company holiday party or something, you would see completely different shows each time. You wouldn't see the same pieces or tricks, as some people call them, and everything. Very rarely will you even see the same techniques being used sometimes. Sometimes I'm using completely different techniques in person than I'm using virtually.
Very cool. Very cool. So when you're looking at a person, are you studying, what we think a lot of fraud psychics are like? Are you studying the facial reaction, much like a poker player would, where you're trying to look for tells?
There's definitely tells, but there's no hard and fast science to it. Like if they look up and to the left, that doesn't always mean one thing. And if they look over to the right, that doesn't always mean the other thing. You do have to kind of genuinely read the person and be like, okay, if they're not holding eye contact right now, what does that mean? I mean, someone might sit there with their, one common misconception is like they're sitting there with their arms folded. That means they're not interested. Or they're just cold, there's a lot of that. And so you have to think, you have to kind of go a little deeper. Like, why is this person? There's a million reasons. There are different reasons when your grandmother playfully hits you on the arm versus when someone else hits you on the arm, a stranger, so you have to take in okay, what does this mean? Is this being playful? Are they angry at me? What's going on here? Yes, you try to read it, but that's still not a hard and fast science. You still have to make that intuitive leap sometime, much like a chess player. Like if I go here, I have to, it doesn't look like they know if I go here, they'll miss this move. You still have to take that intuitive leap though. You don't know that for sure until you do it.
So it's much like being a poker player. You're looking for you're looking for the read. You're looking for the sigh, the clench of the teeth, the movement of the eyebrow, the wiggling of the ears, or the shake of the hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, and sometimes the person isn't giving you anything, so you've just gotta trust your gut, not filter, and see how it goes. sometimes too. Like that's just part of it.
Okay, so how does that turn into the paranormal? Because, and I'm a little confused by this. I could understand you know, being a magician over here, and you know, your enjoyment of the paranormal over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but when you combine the two, there's a
Sure.
lot of similarities. And so when you're reading people and you are, you know, telling them about ghosts or something along those
Mm-hmm.
lines, how do you push the magic away to concentrate on the paranormal?
The short answer is to just not do a trick, or not do be okay with it not going somewhere. I think so. Again, like in the virtual shows, they're like the second to last thing is just 10 minutes of walking people through using pendulums, and I tell people to make their own at home if they don't own one. It's fun because it's entertaining for people, whether they have a very fancy pendulum and they've used it a million times, or if they've never used it before and they're just hanging a ring on a string and this is the first time they're ever trying it. And like that's always very fun. I've noticed that so the way I structure my shows is they get weirder and weirder, and I take more and more risks the further along we go in the show. So early on, one of the things I say in my stage shows is I open with a piece of purely psychology. And I say, of course, this was much more psychological than it was psychic. At some point, though, we're going to be leaving the psychology behind and only dealing with the real thing. I'm just not going to tell you when that is. So that's another level of mystery. Another good example is on Halloween, sometimes at the Dole Mansion, I'll do a mind reading show. They have a theater that seats about 100 people called the Listening Room. I'll do a mind reading show. But then I'll take people on a walk through the mansion, and sometimes we'll do paranormal tests. Sometimes I'll just tell stories about the mansion, but I purposely don't do a mind reading test or anything. We'll try a little paranormal-y stuff. And sometimes what's funny is sometimes those have worked and people will say wait, was that a trick? And I have to be upfront with them and say, no, I was not planning on that happening. And some people are like, you made someone touch me on my shoulders. Like, no, there's no one behind you. There's and they're like, oh yeah, right. Okay. So to me, that's kind of fun. I kind of like mischievously, again, blending the two. So that way it's, you're again, I kind of like the naughtiness of playing with things you're not supposed to as well. If that makes sense. So I think blending the two is fun. I think it has to be done, at least for me. I do try to do it in a proper way. And, of course, the downside with this is I have people coming up to me sometimes asking if I am a medium. And one of my jokes is, no, I'm not a medium. I'm a large. And, that's, quarantine for all.
I'm an XL.
XL, yeah, extra large. Yeah, it's closer to XL after quarantining. But, because again, I think a lot of people do see a lot of this stuff as the same. But even when I was but even more traditional magicians have people asking them all the time, hey, do you tell fortunes? Can you read something about me? Or I'm sick. Do you do healings? A lot of people, David Blaine has that happen to him a lot, which is fascinating. He was doing a live stream on his Instagram once, and I was watching it. And someone commented in the chat, unironically, hey, can you talk to ghosts? I have a problem in my house. I was like, oh, it happens to him too. I get messages like that all the time as well. So, again, I like blending it. Another thing too, good art encapsulates a lot of your interests. So it makes sense to me to do, we'll just say, for example, a piece of magic that's based on, murder mysteries. I love murder mystery games. So let's play a murder mystery game and see if I can figure out which of you is pretending to be the killer right now, like a game of Clue. Part of one of my other interests is the paranormal. So to me, it makes perfect sense to incorporate some of the haunted histories that I've encountered and incorporate that into my work,
Okay, so you having this tour that you do, a couple of tours at haunted locations, one in Illinois and one in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. When you were dealing with the ghosts there, describe these places that you were working at and maybe some of their more active spirits.
So let's focus on the Dole Mansion for right now, because that's the place I've got a space there. The other place in Wisconsin hires me to come in and do shows there. We're working out summer scheduling, but nothing's locked in for sure yet. But I know for sure I'm going to be at the Dole for a very, very long time, no matter what. So let's talk about that. So the Dole Mansion itself. So one of the things I love to do is I have to greet everyone at the front door for my shows. There are 13 people because I have to walk everyone up the flight of stairs to the second level, down the hall to where my studio is. So while we're waiting for everyone to arrive and we get closer to showtime, I give everyone the history and haunted history of the building. So it's kind of like a mini show before the show. So I get to say, like, before we go upstairs, let me tell you a little bit about the building we're in. The building is called the Dole Mansion because it was built by Charles Dole in 1863. Everyone asks if he was the Dole pineapple guy. He wasn't. He was a wheat distributor. They finished construction in 1865. He sold the property to his son-in-law for $1. He really liked his son-in-law. And after that, it changed hands a number of times. It was a country club for a number of years, the Crystal Lake Country Club. And then in 1922, it was purchased by Mrs. Lou Ringling of Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey fame. She purchased it shortly after her husband Al passed away. Quick little fun fact about Lou, when she was in the circus, she started as a ticket taker, then was a snake charmer, then was part of a mind-reading act in the sideshow. So I'm the weirdo in that building carrying on her legacy. She extended the house to include a ballroom and like a sort of like room and board rooms on the second and third levels. So my studio was basically like a mini apartment with a shared bathroom between it when it was first built. And her initial idea was to have the circus workers stay there during the summers. Some of the animals did stay on the property. There's record of camels, horses, and hippos being on the front lawn of the building. But unfortunately, due to the roughness of the late 1920s, she had to sell it and move back to Baraboo, Wisconsin, where she died shortly after. And I've seen her and Elle's home in Baraboo as well and talked to the people there. They're really, really kind. And I actually got the chance to see some of her old journals. And she mentioned when she sold the Crystal Lake place, she put her heart and soul into that building. It crushed her. She passed away in Baraboo, and she's buried there, and I got to go pay my respects there a couple of years ago. And so as a result of all these different people owning this building, after that it was a church for a number of years, a seminary, and then was resurrected as an arts park. So now it's painters, musicians, me, photographers. There's someone who does healing arts, yoga, that kind of thing. And when you have a house that's been around for that long, technically two houses that are so big they're actually connected, it's going to pick up some energy. Now, no one died, and yes, I do believe it is haunted. No one died there tragically as far as my research shows. There was one death on property due to a hunting accident about 3.5 acres south of the main building. So where that person died is now someone's backyard. So their house is definitely haunted, but we won't tell them. And the building itself did have funerals in it when it was a church. And the Franciscan chapel that was there would have the funerals on the third floor. So they would take these coffins up a spiral staircase to the third floor, and they had to carve divots into the wall so they could pivot the coffins up this spiral staircase. And that staircase is the biggest hot spot in that house. That's where I captured that Shadow Man photo that was on my Instagram. Other people have captured other photos there, everything from orbs flying by to electronics going wonky, all this stuff. And my personal theory is every bit of folklore says don't take a coffin up or down stairs. And if you take them up or down a spiral staircase, it would make sense that a spirit would get stuck there, even if it didn't die there. So I think whatever is there because of that. Ironically, it was the church that haunted it, in my opinion. And again, weird stuff happens there, and weird stuff has happened on the tour that I can't explain. People have, again, felt people pushing them. Everyone on staff has a story of something weird happening to them in that building. So are we all crazy? Are we all dumb? Or is there something meaningful there? And even if you take the full hard skeptics approach of, it's not ghosts, it's our minds. Well, that means our minds are pretty flippin' powerful. If our minds for thousands of years can cause every single paranormal occurrence and every single story and convince us that it's happening, then our brains are pretty magical, to go back to our theme of tonight. So to me, and I say that, so now you know a little bit about the house. Let's go upstairs and kick off the show properly. And now we go in and we do the show. And so, so now that I've given them context with where we are in that building and the importance of that building, it kind of gives everything a little bit more gravitas. So even when I do something like a juggling stunt where I throw a playing card in the air, boomerang it, and have it come back to me, I still tell a story about it, and there is like a weird paranormal link to the object that I'm using for it. It's still connected, and it kind of, at the very least, gives everything a much more theatrical experience, but on another level, gives everyone a deeper and more meaningful experience because we're in this very special place that doesn't exist anywhere else.
Melinda has a quick question for you. She's a good friend of this show, former guest, and she'll be a future guest as well. We absolutely love her. And she is asking, she's from Arizona, asking, does an old-fashioned motorboat have any meaning to you?
To me, my dad had one when I was a kid, and we went like kneeboarding on it.
Or what about connection to the houses?
Not that I know of to the houses. The one house is pretty close to the actual lake of Crystal Lake, and the other one is in Lake Geneva. So that's a decent connection, but not to me personally. And I don't know of any ones that are connected specifically to those houses other than being near them because they're near a lake. But I'll look into it. I don't know. If I'm getting a message, I'm gonna pick up the phone. So I'll look into it.
She's asking if your father is passed on.
No, he is not. He is not. My grandfather passed away a couple years ago now. His dad. But I've still got 3 of my 4 grandparents still alive. Oh. My grandfather, he's 88. He beat skin cancer a few years ago, had a minor heart attack during the summer, and he's walking around like nothing happened. He is an ox. He is stubborn. He is loud and boisterous. He's the one I get it from. He wanted to do stand-up comedy. He really loved like Bob Newhart and Johnny Carson and all that. He did write some jokes and send them to Johnny Carson and claims that Johnny Carson told them on the Tonight Show, but we don't have any video or evidence of that. So we'll see if maybe we'll find out something about that. But yeah, but he's one of my biggest role models. He's amazing.
You're lucky. I only got one I'll be 48 this year, and I've still got one grandparent left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife only has one grandparent left, and yeah, we got married this year on Friday the 13th, because what can go wrong? And so in 2020, and we had it small, socially distanced, masked and everything, and part of it was just like, hey, our grandparents aren't getting any younger. We should do something so that they could be there and see it. So it was nice for that. But yeah, so yeah, I actually knew 3 of my great grandparents. My one great grandfather lived to be 99. He was born in 1900, lived to 1999. He was a diehard Chicago Cubs fan. My other grandfather is. And he, when they won the World Series, I had to call him and be like, you okay? You're not dying now, are you? You're good? Okay, you're good. That game went on forever. Poor guy. But yeah, and then my great-grandmother, my nanny on my mom's side, she taught me card games and taught me how to read playing cards as well. So, like, she always came to my shows. I would do shows at her nursing home, and I wouldn't take any money, just because they were like, she loved bragging to everyone, like, that's my great-grandson. That's
Absolutely.
My great-grandson.
My friend, I got to cut you off right there. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, and I have a couple questions from Human Carl when we get back for you that we will get into. Magician, mind reader, paranormal enthusiast, tour operator, beard grower.
Yes.
Joe Diamond is our guest. JoeDiamondLive.com, pardon me, is the website. Make sure you check it on out. We'll be back. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. All right, we're clear.
Sweet.
This is fun, man.
This is fun.
This is
so
totally fun.
I'm trying to keep up with the chat.
It's nuts, isn't
They're
it?
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the chat, you are awesome.
Tonight's
tonight's
actually a slow night. Usually there.
Really? Oh, geez. Wow.
Usually there's like 110, 120 people in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but all the regulars, most of the regulars are here. I'd say about 90% of the regulars are here, and they're just awesome. They're just awesome.
Someone just, I know you had
that
some
Shar
questions
there.
before.
What do you think? We'll get that answer when we come back.
I watched him a ton as a kid. He was great.
Oh, yeah.
And then use the promo code Spaced Out Radio at JoeDiamondLive.com.
Yeah. Thanks, Corrence, the booking guy. I think, it. I mean, geez. 9 of clubs.
It's going to stick with you now, isn't it?
9 of bloody clubs.
9 of bloody clubs.
Oh, yeah. You can use that one. 9 of bloody clubs. All right. What did Vince say? Oh, yeah. Dave is so old, the first person to call into the show was Alexander Graham Bell. Thanks, Vince. Thanks, Vinster. Yeah. Appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be funny when we're at the SOR Vegas party and somebody drops X-Lax in your drink at the bar.
The X-Lax, and then switch out all the toilet paper with itching powder toilet paper.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly Jackshaw on Instagram, she was freaking out over the picture of my dream journal with the numbers, and she's especially freaking out. She's like, I got the same numbers, just in a different order. I had 279. So there was someone who was close with you.
Nice.
With those same numbers. So shout out to Kimberly for that.
Yeah, she's a Vancouverite, a proud
Sweet.
Vancouverite. Hey, New York Anthony, what's going on? Yeah, we have a few questions here that I will get to.
Sure.
I'm going to stall that chat room so that way I can save those questions. We got just over 2 minutes.
Okay.
Iron Sheik on Twitter. You're so vain, you probably think I give a fuck about you. That is awesome. Do you follow the Iron Sheik on Twitter?
I don't.
Oh, dude, you have to. By the way, I followed you on Twitter.
Oh, thank you. I'm not very active on Twitter, I'll be honest. I'm trying to be more active, but then it's like, oh, yeah, I haven't posted in a couple of
I'm the same way with Instagram. I can't figure out Instagram. I mean, I can only put my fat melon on there so many different ways and poses, I don't get it.
Fair enough.
I don't get it.
Before the pandemic, well, even with the virtual shows, I put a lot of people's reactions from my shows on there.
Yeah.
That helps. But, and I'll do, the occasional, Tarot Card Tuesday and that type of stuff. But Instagram I'm more active on, but it is totally more just for, fun, where I share, my weird dream journal stuff and everything. So, but, and then Facebook is, where I do most of my promo stuff. Facebook is work. Instagram is fun, and I should figure out Twitter. So
I can't figure out Instagram. I know the same thing, man. I feel the same way about Instagram. How about I do your Twitter, you do my Instagram?
Okay, all right, there we go. Done.
Donezo. That's how things get done quick around here.
That's outsourcing, baby.
Exactly. We got 30 seconds. Big thank you to Super Cat Chaser for the double super chat tonight. Great way to support what we do here on the show. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. And if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All of our swag can be found at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. You can get yourself a nice Bigfoot t-shirt like this one.
Sweet.
Like that one. We're going to get more coming too. Here we go with the second half of the show. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy with the beard sitting behind the microphone. Hope you're enjoying your night with us. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight. Joe Diamond, JoeDiamondLive.com. He is a mind reader. He is a magician. He's into the paranormal, and he gives a good flying drop kick when he's in the squared circle. There you go. You didn't drop the ball on that one that time.
There we go.
I got a pair of questions from one of my favorite listeners
Perfect.
who's been with me a long time, Human Carl. We have to call him Human Carl because we don't want him to get mixed up with Alien Carl. Alien Carl is actually a gray alien that showed up at my window during a show back on April 20th, 2015. Crazy. Whew. Crazy.
Awesome.
So we don't want to, mix them up. So we got Human Carl
that makes
here.
Sense.
And Human Carl is one of our great veterans who listens to this show, too.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, Human Carl.
Absolutely. He's asking, and I love this question, are you allowed in casinos to gamble?
So, technically, yes. However, the small amount of times I have been booked at a casino, I had to sign something saying that I would not play at the tables. Now, I think that's more so that I don't tick off any guests or something. I think it's less that they were worried, because they want money. They want me to gamble. Like, they don't care. The house always wins. Like, that's the other thing. The house always wins. But, like, I think the big thing was, like, they didn't want – I think even, like, singers have to do it. Because, like, if you watch The Singer and then you're out in the table and now the singer takes all your money, the person's going to be ticked off at the singer and the casino and say it's rigged and all this other stuff. So I think it was closer for that and less about me being a mind reader. But, yeah, when I've only done, like, a small handful of casino gigs. But when that's happened, So technically I was not allowed to play when I was booked. I should say it was because of my great mind powers, but I want to be honest.
So what you're saying is you don't count cards?
No, I tried to learn, and I'm really not. I'm not great. I'm good at math, like when I can have the paper and pen in front of me, but doing math like in my head is always harder for me. So and again, like even if I were to count cards, like I've met people who were pit bosses in casinos and have been like gambling experts and cheating at gambling experts. Even if I could do that, they've got 5 other people trained to see me coming a mile away. So like I've never tried that. I've definitely tried a little bit here and there with like friends at like the table and stuff, but like never when there was like money on the line or anything. Just more so like, oh, can I do this? Nope, still lost. Okay. It stinks playing cards with friends when you're a mind reader, because if you win, everyone assumes you cheated, and if you lose, they say you're a cruddy mind reader.
Double negatives.
It's a lose-lose.
Double negatives. All right, Human Carl's follow-up question: do you play the lotteries then?
I have a couple times. Here's my weird thing with the lottery. I always break even. The last 5 times I've bought a ticket, whether it was a $5 ticket, a $10 ticket, 20, or I even got one of those like 25, like expensive ones. And every time I got back exactly what I paid for. When it was a $10 ticket, I won $10. When it was a $5 ticket, I won $5. So technically, again, yes, but also technically no. I've never done the scratch-offs. I've played numbers a couple times here and there. A friend of mine, no joke, he played the lottery once, and he got all the numbers right but off by 1. So the first number was 3, he had a 2. Next number was 7, he had a 6. And like he was off by 1 on all the numbers straight across, which is kind of hilarious. He's like, do I still get something? And we were like, no, you don't get anything.
Quick lottery story here. My dad, back in the day when like $2 million was a major prize pool up here, our lotteries at that time was called the Lotto 649. And like the $2 million, like, oh my God, I can't believe they bumped it up to $2 million. And nowadays it's like, what? It's not 50 million? Yeah, I'm not playing. Who wants that 20 million crap? Right? So my dad buys a ticket. The only number on his card that didn't hit was 12 for the $2 million. Ooh. The winning number was 11. The bonus number was 13. Oh. Talk about a kick in the teeth to my dad. All right, let's move on to Char's question here. What is your opinion of the amazing Crescent?
I grew up watching him on TV, and he's very much, he's a role model, Uri Geller as well. I love, Crescent was like the last of like the, I had to say was, because he's still alive and he's still performing. But like when he hit the scene, when he first hit the scene, he was like the last like old school mentalist to like hit the scene and like truly do like all this radical contact mind reading stuff and hypnosis. And like, even when it wasn't, and I want to be careful how I say this, even when it wasn't entertaining, it was still interesting, if that makes sense. Like, even if like the jokes were flopping, or he was like, it was taking him a long time to figure out where a hidden object was in a studio, and it like wasn't that like, again, it wasn't that like cool. But when he finally got it, you still felt like, oh my God, he actually got it. Like, I thought he was going to be way off, and this is a waste of time. Like, you got bored, you got angry it was still going on. You were like, just give up. Oh wait, maybe he's got it. Oh, he got it. I'm glad he didn't give up. So he almost always delivered on it. He's done some controversial stuff over the years too, which, I'm not even a fan of all the controversial things I did, so I don't expect to put anyone else up to that standard. But at the same time, like I've got the original vintage Crescent ESP board game that he put out a million years ago. Got that, and that's fun. It comes with a pendulum and ESP testing cards and all that. And he really paved the way for a lot of performers like me to delve more into, the powers of the mind. He did stuff with hypnosis and UFOs and, seances and all this other weirder stuff. And he just was like a normal guy. So it gave me like hope that like, oh, I can just be a normal guy with these strange skills and make a living at it, So in many ways he paved the way. If I hadn't seen that and hadn't seen it as a viable, not just form of entertainment, but career, I don't know if I'd be in this line of work. And I don't know if other people would accept it as a line of work if it weren't for him. So I think no matter what, I owe him a huge, huge debt of gratitude because, he's a legend.
All right, let's move on to Anthony. He's asking, what does the first, or what is your opinion on telepathy?
Telepathy. So again, like I am using, I use what can arguably be called telepathy here and there. I think good telepathy is just good communication. Like good telepathy is just good communication. A good example, and well, this is a convoluted one, but it'll make sense. Let's say, we're on Skype right now, but let's say we were on our cell phones. And all of a sudden the call dropped. Well, if we both try and call each other back at the same time, no connection will be made. If we both sit around waiting for the other person to call, no connection would be made. One person has to dial the number, and the other person has to answer. When someone goes, oh, you can't read me. Nope, you can't read me. That's the equivalent of calling a number over and over again and not answering. Like, it's a two-way street. I can't just look at someone and be like, you're going to do this. I'm going to pull this thought from your mind without your help. It's a form of communication, just like any conversation. If you just sit there and don't contribute anything, it's not going to be a conversation. It's just going to be a boring monologue. And the same goes for telepathy. You have to communicate. You have to be willing. You have to be open. And you have to not be frustrated even when it doesn't work the first few times, too. So I think, yeah. And, like, the other thing, too, is, like, so many people – we all know we should trust our intuitions, but we don't. I mean, how many times have we gone, oh, I should have gone with my first instinct. Or, oh, man, I should have picked the other one. Or, oh, man, I should have taken that other route home. There's no traffic that way or something. Like, we all have those moments. The secret of telepathy, the secret of intuition is to just not make that extra decision sometimes, you know?
Kind of like the nine of clubs.
Yeah, like the nine of clubs, exactly. You almost went for 7 of hearts. That's why I was like, you want to change your mind on me? I would have let you and just taken the hit if it didn't work, but I'm glad you changed. So that worked out. It's hitting his head now. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Man. Now, I meant to ask you this just a couple seconds ago. Have you ever levitated tables or bent spoons?
I have done spoon bending. How does that work? A lonely childhood is the short answer for that.
But is it magic or is it real magic?
I'll answer this with a very convoluted story, but again, will make sense. I do spoon bending in my shows. Actually, a couple of years ago, for my old radio show, I got to talk to Uri Geller, and he saw a clip of me bending spoons on the local Chicago news, and he said to me, Joe, you bend spoons better than I do. Which was like, oh my God, this is my childhood hero. So that was amazing to hear. And so I would do it in shows along with an act where I would guess people's dreams and interpret the dreams. So I'd have everyone in the room think about dreams. If they don't remember their dreams, they would just think about a fun fact about themselves. I'd pick people at random. Sometimes I have other people pick people at random, and I would try and tell them the dream or a fun fact. But if it was a dream, I would try and only tell them the dream, but also give them a reading based on the dream. And right before I did my signature dream interpretation act, I did some spoon bending. This was for a company party in the Chicago suburbs. And after the show, keep in mind this was the same performance, not just the same show, but same performance. I had someone come up to me and go, okay, I know that spoon bending thing has to be a trick, but the mind reading and dream interpretation stuff, is that like a gift? Was it a skill you developed? And we chatted about it. And as soon as I was done talking with that person, they walked away. As soon as they walked away, another person came up to me, no break in between. Another person came up to me and said, okay, so I know that mind reading stuff was all psychology and body language and probably a trick. Maybe you did some research on people and played the odds. But the spoon bending, is that like chi energy? Are you using positive energy, negative energy? What are you using? So these two people saw the exact same show, and yet one of them was convinced one was a trick, one was real, and the other was a complete opposite. There are ways to bend spoons using a trick, and there are ways to bend spoons for real. And I ride right down the middle of the gray area with it sometimes. There are moments that have happened with spoon bending that I can't explain. I've bent spoons over the radio sometimes. If you have me on again, we can try that again sometime. I haven't done that in a long, long time. And I mean, people were able to make spoons and everything bend in their homes. And so, while yes, and again, there are ways in where I'm theatrically enhancing the effect. Like, for example, for me, it doesn't matter, the technique I'm using doesn't matter if the spoon's in my hand or someone else's, but when I bend a spoon in someone else's hands, it's automatically more amazing, even though it's the exact same thing they saw me do 3 more times. Does that make sense? Did I answer the question?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right.
So how do you levitate a table then?
I've only done a little bit of table tipping. So it works similarly to a Ouija board where people have their hands on the table and you just go up table, up table, up table. And eventually the table goes up 3 and sometimes even all 4 legs will go up off the table or off the ground. once I did it, and the woman looked underneath and claimed she saw orbs going on underneath it. I've only done it like 2 or 3 times. I've only done table levitations 2 or 3 times in my life. It works on a similar principle to pendulums and Ouija boards. Scientists call it the ideomotor response. Some people call it mind over matter. Basically, it's the idea that you concentrate on something in your mind, and your body physically makes it happen without you consciously making it happen. And again, if that's not real magic, I don't know what is from that standpoint.
Okay, so what magic is real? All right, like outside of the performances, the Vegas Strip, the job that you do, is there real, true magic out there that cannot be explained other than being something supernatural?
I think it comes down to context for that. Like, I think there is. I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but just to repeat in case someone missed it at the beginning or they're just tuning in now. Again, like that feeling we get when we watch a really good movie, or when like Disney makes us cry for the millionth time when these CGI toys are about to be incinerated at the end of Toy Story 3.
Don't even talk to me about that one. I cried at the end of Toy Story 3.
But here's the thing. They're not only like, we know that's the great thing. We know those toys not only can't talk, but they're computer-generated images. We know those toys don't exist in our reality, in a sense. They exist solely in a computer. They're only ones and zeros, and yet we are crying our eyes out. Don't tell me for a second that's not real magic.
That's because Andy shouldn't have given away the toys at the end.
Fair enough. So, like, a really good story is magic. Like, I think Roald Dahl said, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. And I think that's so true. Like, we're talking right now. We've never had a conversation tonight, yet we obviously have a connection and a rapport like we've been friends for a very long time.
I drink beer with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll commune with the spirits while hunting for spirits. And so, but like still, we're talking through technology from thousands of miles away in real time. Thousands of people are listening to us and will listen to this down the line. Like, that is amazing. That is incredible. I think a lot of truly miraculous things happen every single day, but some of us are just conditioned to brush it off as being a coincidence. Now, of course, I don't think there's always something more, but there could be. And I think that's important to remember, and I think that's what the job of the magician, the artist, the mystic is to do, is to remind us we live in the middle of a giant mystery. And that mystery is important. Albert Einstein himself said, the most important thing a human being can experience is the mysterious. It is the cradle of all true art and all true science. Mystery, not knowledge, not knowing everything, not saying everything is a coincidence, not disbelief. Mystery. And Einstein was no dummy. So yeah, and I don't know if our generation has an Einstein currently. And so, like, it's probably, it's definitely not me, and I can experience the mysterious and that magic. And whether it's, again, if when the hairs on the back of my hand have stood up when I've been in the Dole Mansion and, looking for stuff or just giving tours, and something weird happens where it's like, I can't quite explain that, or, whoa, there was someone there a second ago and now they're not. Like, was that trick of the light? Was it my eyes? Was it this? I don't know. Wow, that ball that was in that one room is now rolling down the stairs. Did it fall out? It rolled right up to my feet. Is that just a coincidence? I don't know. Still made me get freaked out and leave. Doesn't matter if it was just the wind that blew it over or the house settling or a ghost. I still had that reaction to it. And I also don't feel the need to put labels on stuff. Like, if it happens in the moment, if it's real to me, if that's the case. Like, I'll finish up with this. Whenever someone says, like, for example, well, there's no scientific evidence of the paranormal. There's no scientific evidence of the supernatural, so it must not be real. And I just go, no, you don't know how words work. If there were scientific evidence for it, it would cease to be para and just be normal. If you went back in time 200 years and just described a radio to someone, you talk in a box, it transmits your voice into the ether, sends it over, that would sound supernatural. That would sound paranormal. And yes, the most baseline form of technology that we have. And now we have a supercomputer in our pocket that can give us the answer to any trivia question. So I choose to believe in magic. That's where I'm at.
All right. So I'm going to just put you on the spot.
Okay.
How'd you know about the 9 of clubs?
I'm going to put you on the spot. Choose whatever scares you the least.
Choose whatever scares me. If you said the most, I would have said my former mother-in-law.
Okay, fair enough.
And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody.
When people ask me how stuff is done, I just always say, and it's true, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. There's again.
It's kind of like snooping for your Santa gift as a kid, and then you accidentally see it. And you're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And you feel horrible.
Well, it's just like when we see a special effect in a movie. If the special effect is not compelling or looks right, it takes you out of the movie. You know, like you're like, ooh, oh, that was rough, or so like, you know, not knowing. And same thing, like even though a good example with mystery and not knowing was the most recent Avengers movie. They kept like 90% of that movie a secret because they knew how amazing it would be when we saw it for the first time, and they were totally right. Imagine going into that movie just knowing how it was spoiled, knowing all the great moments and everything, and like, you know, that's something we don't get very often. And I think that's part of the reason why that movie was so successful, because it really had mystery to it. No, you didn't know what was going to happen. I'll tell you what, I'll break even with you. And after the next break, because I see we're coming up to this half the hour, I will teach you and your listeners something. How about that?
Sure.
I will teach you and your listeners one thing after the next break. So I'll tease that. So
can you? We got 2 minutes. Can you move things with your mind?
I haven't done it in a while. We'll save that for the next time you have me on. I'll prepare something extra special for you, and then. But if you do want to look on YouTube, if you look on I'm at Joe Diamond Live on all social media, including that, you can see me bending spoons on WGN News here in Chicago. I've done a couple other radio programs and such. And on my Instagram, you can see a lot of spoon bending on there as well. I've played around with other telekinetic stuff. My favorite meme is I can move stuff with my mind, and the other person goes, "Yeah, so can I." Reach down and picks up the salt shaker. They go, "No, not with my hands." He's like, "Yeah, my hands are controlled by my mind." Do you not know how hands work? Like, so that's my new favorite meme that someone just sent me.
Oh, wow. I mean, I could just imagine what's running through your mind. You know, is it easier to just, being part of that, as we got a minute to go, is it easier communicating with ghosts and spirits doing the job that you do?
No, I have to use, again, I've used pendulums, I've used spirit bottles. I'm not a medium. I don't see ghosts. I've had weird stuff happen that I've caught on camera, but I've never heard a ghost. I've never gotten a message from a dead loved one or anything like that. I've had weird stuff happen to me, like I think we all do, but I don't think I've got any kind of gift for that. But because I'm obsessed with the paranormal, I've looked into pendulums, spirit bottles, table tipping, Ouija boards. If there's a form of spirit communication, if I haven't tried it, I've at least read about it. And I have to do that because I don't talk to ghosts.
Sure you do. You just don't know. You weirdo. You definitely.
I talk to the ghost of the 9 of clubs.
And the 9 of clubs, yes.
The ghost of the 9 of clubs.
I want to ask you about the Ouija board and pendulums when we get back here.
Sweet, we'll do that.
From the break, because I'm curious your thoughts on those, on whether or not we are actually communicating with the dead, or if it's the nerve endings on our fingers that are making things happen. I'm telling you, I'm loving tonight's show with Joe Diamond. We are so bringing him back. So bringing him back. JoeDiamondLive.com is his website. Hey, he's put a promo code, Spaced Out Radio, all caps, all one word, 20% off if you want to watch his live streams. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear. I'm just going to go run my dogs out. And by the way, that meteor that went over Washington and Oregon was apparently a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket accident.
Oh.
Some of the best.
Yeah.
Unmanned?
Yes, unmanned.
Okay, all right.
All right. Be right back.
Wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while
All right, I'm back.
All right. What kind of dogs do you have?
I got a German Shepherd and I got a German Shepherd cross.
That's so hilarious. My good friend, also named Scott, has 3 German Shepherds.
Weird.
And he's like, walking the 3 of them is a minor workout.
Oh, yeah. Their noses are searching for everything.
Yeah. Well, the one he got, it was born in like March. And they didn't get any snow his first year until like late January. So he was almost a year old by the first time he saw snow. And his name's Loki, and he just lost his mind. He just went out there and just was like losing his mind in the snow. It was crazy.
My one dog, my oldest dog, he's 10, and he just loves the snow. Loves the snow.
Sweet.
Like, I couldn't even get him in tonight because we had a fresh snowfall today. And he was like racing down the hill, rolling around, digging his face in, and I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I had to do an interview on a radio show in Ontario, and I'm like, oh, come on, dog. You know, like, help me out here. Help me out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have about 35 seconds here before we're going to come back. And big thank you to Human Carl, Lynn Soes, and Cat Chaser with the hat trick on the Super Chats. Really do appreciate the love and the support that you guys show Spaced Out Radio and me. It really, truly does mean a lot. Thank you to everybody who's new to hitting that subscribe button for our channel. It is fantastic to watch you guys build up that support and seeing us grow. It really means a lot. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up and down and sideways. And here we go with the third hour.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears around the North America and the world. We want to say hello to everyone listening in our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Unguiculate. Unguiculate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we bring in Joe Diamond. JoeDiamondLive.com is his website. Mm-hmm. And Joe, we're going to get into Ouija boards, tarot cards. We're going to get into pendulums. All right, especially pendulums and Ouija boards. Now, a lot of people think you can communicate with spirits on the other side, which is very, very weird. All right? Some people believe in them. People believe they're evil, especially with the Ouija board.
Sure.
Is it the nerve endings on our fingers that are causing these actions to happen, or is it really spirit?
It is not the nerve endings. With the Ouija board, I did 2 papers on the Ouija board in college. One was for science, and one was for actually marketing, because America's first patent battle was actually over the Ouija board, which is a fun little factoid for everyone listening. So let's start with the Ouija board, because that's like the most controversial and the one people get most weirded out about. It's actually not the board itself. It's the planchette that moves around. The board is just a block of wood with letters. The planchette originally had a piece of lead in it, and people would put their hands on it for automatic writing. And actually, that's what the patent dispute was about the planchette itself, not so much the board with the letters on it. Which is funny because everyone's terrified of the board, but if you see the planchette, they're like, it's okay. And it's the planchette itself that is the actual oracle, in a sense, which I think is kind of fascinating. No one claimed to be possessed by a Ouija board until, like, the movie The Exorcist came out, and there was a Ouija board in that movie. So I think it was a little bit of, like, the Chupacabra effect, where, like, after that movie Species came out, Chupacabra sightings went up, like, 500%, that kind of thing. And what we did for science, and there's other people who've done similar stuff on YouTube about explaining how about how the Ouija board works, is you're basically moving it unconsciously. And to prove this, what we did is we had a stack of cards on top of the planchette, and everyone put their hands on, and we tied a string to the planchette. And when we pulled the planchette, that moved, and then everyone followed behind, and the cards dragged. But when we took the string off and asked the spirit boards questions, everyone started moving first, and then the planchette went past. So this showed that the people were moving before the planchette. So they were doing it unconsciously. And the other thing we did, which was kind of sneaky, we blindfolded them, and without telling them, reversed the Ouija board. We turned it upside down. So now when they thought it was answering yes, it was actually going up to where the E in goodbye was now. So this proved that they were doing it unconsciously, that it was in their minds. Whether or not the spirits are entering through their minds to cause the planchette to happen, that's a whole other story. We don't have time to get into that. But that said, we are moving it very subtly, unconsciously. And I thought that was the case with pendulums for a very, very long time, until I got into pendulum bottles and spirit bottles. And I don't have any in my apartment. They're all at the studio in Crystal Lake, Illinois, at the Dole Mansion. But basically what it is, it's a pendulum suspended inside a bottle. You attach the pendulum to the cork and put it in the bottle. And you don't touch the bottle. You just put it in the middle of the table, and people put their hands flat on the table. And and you can feel, and this is different, you could feel if someone was wiggling the table. And despite that, even though no one's moving the table, that pendulum starts moving. It starts answering questions. The other thing I've done with it is I've had someone sitting down with their hands on the table, and then have someone put their hands on their shoulders behind them and have the person in front of them blindfolded. And the person not touching the table thinks of the direction they want the pendulum to go in, and the pendulum will go in the direction they're thinking of, even though they're not in contact with the table. And I don't know what's making this happen. I really don't, because it will tap out numbers on the inside of the glass. It will. I've treated it whenever I've done it at the Dole Mansion. I've used it as an actual seance device. It actually predates the Ouija board. It's very likely the kind of oracle someone like Mary Todd Lincoln would have done when doing seances in the White House. And yeah, and I'll be honest, it is a thing of mystery to me, and it's amazing to watch it move, and it's uncanny with the way it answers questions that even people using it don't know the answers to. And that's the other thing with pendulums. Even if we're unconsciously moving it, I've been able to find lost objects with a pendulum, objects I had no idea where they were. I've had tons of people be able to answer yes or no questions about the future using a pendulum. And there's just a lot of stuff that's happened with pendulums that I fully can't explain yet. And again, that's kind of the thing I like about it, and why I like including them in my shows, because it's like, hey, here's something that even I don't know fully how it works. I'm going to show you how to make it work and make it work for you. But if you ask me how, I don't have an answer for you.
I am still questioning that. And I'll tell you, I had a friend of mine who's a scientist, and he didn't believe in the pendulum at all. And he had his pendulum in North Carolina on Skype, and I had my pendulum here. And we were testing it out, very amateur science experiment here, on the questions, and we're getting yeses, we're getting nos. And finally I said to his pendulum, through my spirit guide, I said, can you stop his pendulum? Now, he's in North Carolina. I'm in British Columbia. His pendulum went 1, 2, 3, dead stop.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
And watching his eyes literally went from normal to about, cartoon size. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
Yeah, I've had similar stuff happen, and again, I think it's healthy to have stuff that we can't explain. That said, before I forget, I promise you I would explain something, and we'll do that real quick. Now,
sure.
I've got a pad of paper. You can see it. I will do this for you. Talk about the thinking behind it in a moment. Now, I have something written on the other side of this pad of paper, which I won't show you in a moment. Which I won't show you now. I'll show you in a moment. For right now, what I will show you, Scott, is I'm going to write down the numbers 1 to 4. And you can see me write down numbers 1 to 4. Now, imagine I could hand you this marker, and you could cross out any number 1 to 4. Which number would you cross out?
1.
1. And give me another number you'd cross out.
3.
Okay. And give me another number and cross out, and we'll circle the last one.
4.
Okay, so we'll cross out 4 and we'd circle the 2. I will be totally honest with you, Scott. This did not work with you because I predicted the number left would be 3. Now, let me explain why it is 3 99% of the time. As I'm writing down these numbers, I'm telling you to write down numbers 1, 2. I'm going to write down numbers 1, 2, 4. And I say 1, 2, 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, you can see me write down numbers 1, 2, and 4. Now, if you were in person, I would hand you the marker and I would just say, take this and cross out any number 1 to 4. 75% of the time, they just cross out 3. And when that happens, I just turn over the pad or the business card or the napkin where I've written it on, and it lands. But let's say, like in your case, they don't. I say, okay, they cross out 1. And I say, cross out another. Now what I'm trying to do is to get them to leave 3. So just based on odds, I have a 50-50 shot of this working. Just based on odds, using purely my language, I've shifted the odds in my favor. But, as you saw, it's still not 100%. The other thing, too, is we've been talking about mind control and all this stuff. This isn't something I would do for, I would do this more closer to when we were starting rather than we're getting deep into this. And you're going to, especially with the 9 of clubs where you're thinking, okay, I'm going to try and psych him out and everything. This actually works more for people who aren't in my line of work because they're not expecting it to be anything. So they're not going to fight the psychology quite as much with this. But if you just say, take this and cross out any number 1, 2, 4, 9 times out of 10, they will cross out 3. And if they don't, you give yourself the second chance to leave it as the last number circled. So that's something people can try with their friends, both in person and over Zoom, over Skype, and see how much it does really work. It is a fascinating bit of psychology. Another thing you can do is if you ask people to think of a number 1 to 50, but make both digits odd and both digits different, most people tend to go for 37 or 35.
Really?
If you do that. So those are 2 little psychological mind games that you and your listeners can try with people and see if it works.
I'll tell you why I chose the 1 and 3. I hate the number
Okay.
number 13.
See, there you go. So you already had predisposition for it and everything.
Yeah.
And I also set it up as, okay, this is something I'm going to teach you and everything. I normally do this just as a throwaway. Like, let's do a quick little psychology. And here's the other thing, too. You don't even have to say you've written a prediction on the back. You could just say, we're going to try a quick test of psychology. And at the end, oh, you left 2. And now just tell them something about their personality that feels right intuitively. Or you can learn numerology for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can give them a reading based on that. And just never show them that you had a prediction, if that's the case. But that's the thing that's fun about this for me, too. Like, in that case, like, yes, I would consider that, real. I'm taking a genuine psychological chance. In this case, it didn't pay off, but the ones we did earlier did. So I think that's pretty. And again, that's a good way of showing like how I am using my own intuition. I am also using that's more pure psychology. But if I can use my own intuition on top of that, I had an intuition that this wouldn't work with you too. But as I said earlier, trust your gut. If you get the feeling like, this person's gonna mess with me, I'm not gonna do it. Don't do it. But I promise you, I teach you something, and this is a fun thing to teach. That's really, really easy. So I wanted to do it for you anyway.
Well, I appreciate that. That. With the paranormal side of you, what do you enjoy about the field?
Ooh. I enjoy hearing people's stories. Like, if there's one cool thing about the pendulum or the Ouija board, whether you love it or hate it, everyone's got a story. Someone loves the Ouija board, they got stories. Someone goes, oh my God, I'm never going to touch a Ouija board again because of XYZ. Like, that's what I love to hear. I love it when people come up to me after shows and say, oh my gosh, when I was younger, I lived in this weird house. And like, I want them to make if I just spent an hour trying to make the hairs on the back of their hand stand up, the chance they want to come up to me and do the same thing to me now is awesome. like, yes, like tell me a story that's going to engage me and make me go, oh my gosh, this is great. And it's through people telling me stories that I've heard about places like the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake, where I now work, or meeting cool people like Varla, who then introduces me to you and now all your listeners. Like the idea that, you know, this is something that truly connects us. And that's what it's about too. It's about connection. It's about feeling connected and part of something bigger than yourself. And you can get that from the field, you can get that from the community, and you can get it sitting alone in a graveyard too. You can still feel connected. Even if you're the only person in the whole graveyard, you're not going to feel alone if you sit there by yourself on the night of a full moon.
No, I hear you. And it's one of the things that I find fascinating about the paranormal is I love watching people's experiences if they've never had it the first time. Like I used to run pre-COVID a paranormal tour at our local museum, and I am just stunned by watching these people, you know, hundreds of people that we've toured, you know, have this amazing experience. I remember one time we had this gentleman who was, you know, walking around, like you mentioned, arms crossed the entire tour. I don't believe in this, you know, and I was kind of razzing him a little bit. And we had this one spirit in one of the rooms where he used to, we called it cobwebs. He'd drop cobwebs on your face. And, you know, here he is walking out, and right before he leaves, I said, you know, you having fun? He's like, yeah, you know, and he's got his arms crossed. And he walks through the doorway, and all of a sudden you see him grab his face and because he got cobweb right when he was walking, out. It was awesome.
I was doing a show on Halloween night one year, and at the end of my Halloween shows, I do a 19th century seance recreation where at the end, spirit writing appears on antique slates. And it's the name of someone in the audience that's chosen at random. And I have no control over who gets chosen. That's genuine. That part is genuinely true and everything else. And there was this one guy, this woman came with her boyfriend. She was obviously into it, and he was sitting in the front row the whole time with his arms folded and crossed. And I was killing this night. People were laughing at all the jokes. They were gasping at all the right moments. He was sitting there with his arms folded, not smiling. I wasn't even sure if he was breathing. Nothing. Well, his girlfriend got picked as the final name, and when we separated the chalkboards that someone else was holding, her name was on the chalkboard. And I saw him just kind of lean forward, uncross his arms, and his face just kind of fell away. That was the end of the show. I said, thank you so much. Good night. I have a little coda that I do at the end of the show that's based on a Universal movie, but it's just a pure monologue at that point. And I deliver it, and I leave, and everyone's coming up saying, good show, good show, good show. And he just makes a beeline for the door. And she goes out after him. And after like 15 minutes, the crowd is dispersing. It's only a few people left. She comes in. I was like, oh, I thought you guys left. And she was like, he is so freaked out. He does not want to come in and talk to you. He is scared of you. So I was like, yes, I terrified the skeptic.
Beautiful.
I was like, he could have uncrossed his arms and enjoyed the show and gotten 59 minutes worth of entertainment, but he got 1 minute's worth, and that's okay. That 1 minute was a very high quality for him. So yeah, that's kind of the funness of again, combining all of this into my work is to, you know, give people that experience, you know, in a sense on command, very much the same way with how you do it with the tour. You get to give people this experience on a regular basis, an experience that most people don't get to have. And I think, again, be reminded that, hey, we don't know everything. Whether you think it's ghosts, whether you think it's a coincidence, we don't know everything.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. We got 5 minutes left with you tonight. Awesome. Give me a 3-minute ghost story from one of your tours.
This is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, so have you seen the movie Groundhog Day?
Yes.
That was filmed in Woodstock, Illinois, where I was born. And I did the Woodstock Square Haunted Ghost Tour the last few Halloweens. And they hired me to go around the town square, take groups, and tell stories. And the town square caught fire the same day as the Peshtigo fire and the Chicago fire, all on the same day. There's tons of conspiracy theories about it. Some people think it was a mass mob hit. Some people think it was a meteor shower, and it was a really dry summer. There's lots of theories for it. Well, the town square is burning, and it's right next to the railroad tracks. And all of a sudden, from the light of the fire, they see a train coming. And on the train are all these water tanks. And the townspeople of Woodstock thought, thank the Lord, we are saved. And the train just kept on going, because that's the same train line that goes down to Chicago. Those water cars were on their way to the Chicago fire. And they were leaving the Peshtigo area where they had just caught fire. So now that was much worse than it was supposed to be. That was actually the most deadly fire, was the Peshtigo fire. And so, so people just got to watch all these water cars just go past as their town square burned. And as a result, those buildings right on the edge of the square, still the bricks, it doesn't matter how cold the day is, those bricks get so warm sometimes. If you lean against them too long, people have gotten burned just from leaning against those buildings. So maybe it's leftover negative energy of not being saved during the Chicago fire. I don't know. One person did put their hand on it. They were leaning up against it. And I told them that. They're like, yeah, fine. We took some photos. We took a quick break there. He took his hand away, and his hand was blistering. It was like, he was like, oh my God, like it was like peeling and stuff. And I was like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'll be fine for the rest of the tour. I called him the next day. I was like, you okay? He's like, yeah. I should have listened. It was my own dumbness. So maybe he has a skin condition. I don't know. But again, that was the weirdest thing that happened on the tour that was not planned. And that's probably my favorite story, because it doesn't start with, it's just like a cruel twist of fate. It's not a murder. It's not a death. It's not any of this stuff. It is just plain and simply a cruel twist of fate.
2 minutes left. I want to say a big thank you for coming on, man. This has been it's such a different show than what we normally do, and I just really appreciate you coming on in and discussing some magic and playing some tricks with our listeners. Real classy, man. Real classy. We got to do it again.
Absolutely.
Have to.
Absolutely. We can do spoon bending, or we can tell everyone to get their pendulums, and we can do a mass seance if we get closer to Halloween too. That would be really fun as well.
You know what? That's a good idea. Corin's the booking guy. We need that. We need
Corin,
that.
let's talk about October, because it's already filling up for me quick. But in all seriousness, thank you again. And again, thank you to and the listeners. Of course, you just let me know. Shoot me an email or give me a call if you want to come see the show. Your ticket is on me. That said, any of the listeners listening, use promo code Spaced Out Radio when you go to JoeDiamondLive.com to get your tickets for my virtual show on Zoom. It's every Friday night, 8 p.m. Central. It's mind reading, paranormal experiments, and it's completely interactive. I actually limit it to 13 screens. You can have as many people watching on your screen. You can have your whole household of 10 people watching. I don't mind. But I keep the screens small so that way everyone is involved and does get to be a part of it. Everyone's involved with the show, with the different mind reading and paranormal experiments. It's a blast. And again, use promo code Spaced Out Radio to get 20% off whatever ticket option and whichever date you choose.
Wonderful, man. And just an absolute pleasure. This was so much fun tonight.
Thank you, Dave.
And you're very knowledgeable. And I encourage all of our listeners around North America and the world to sign up at JoeDiamondLive.com for your Zoom adventures that you're going to be taking the people on. And don't forget to use promo code Spaced Out Radio, all one word, all in capital letters.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you. And it's super easy. You don't need to be a Zoom tech whiz or anything for it. If you're listening to the show, you know how to click on a link. That's all you need to do to see the show. so it's perfect. So
all right, my friend. You hold on. You hold on one sec here as we're about to go to break here at the bottom of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, bro. That was a great show.
Thank you so much. This was a blast.
I'm glad you had fun, man. Glad you had fun. I'm probably going to wait until next week when my boy gets home.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, you called me earlier, so you have my number. Honestly, just shoot me a text, and I'll literally send you all the info like right then and there. I appreciate it. And if anyone else on the crew, if anyone on the team wants to see it, your booker or any of the other hosts I heard the ads for, or anything, any of them want to, just have them reach out to me and say, hey, I'm part of the team. Everyone listening, use the promo code. I do have to make a living. My wife's birthday is coming up, and she has expensive taste, so help me buy her gift. But as a thank you to you,
thanks, buddy,
workers, for this, your tickets are on me.
I appreciate that, and we'll make sure that Corin's the booking guy also gets you lined up for October. Okay?
That'd be a blast. That'd be really, really fun. I've got some stuff that I've done before. I can send them as kind of proof of concept to get the wheels turning and everything. But I think just doing a fun, massive pendulum thing would be really fun. And I do the pendulums in my virtual shows too, so it'll be
perfect,
road tested and fun and everything.
Perfect.
But something we could really sell for Halloween too would be like world's largest seance, because we're doing it internationally. I'm in America, you're in Canada.
It's international, man.
Yeah, international. Yeah, so we can do it. We can do it all over the world, all at once.
Perfect.
So I think that'd be really fun.
All right, brother. I got to run.
Thank you.
You take care.
Thank you.
Much love, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, Dave.
Take care. Bye-bye. Honestly, what a great dude he was. What a great dude. I'm going to take in his show. I want to check this out. It sounds so much fun. I love that guy, man. I love that kind of stuff. And Teresa, I know you are looking for a shirt. I got the message, and I just want to say to you that I'm going to be switching up our Spaced Out Radio store here very quickly to make it easier to purchase T-shirts. So just wait a couple of weeks, and then you can get your swag, okay? That's why I haven't really been mentioning the SOR Vault. It's not working the way I thought it would, so we're going to change it up. So if you could give it a couple of weeks, and then you can just order online. I believe it'll work with either credit card or PayPal, one of the two, if you don't mind. Yod Neil, aloha from Maui. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you. And Gilbert was a bad boy. He's got about, I think we've counted now 6 different identities from Gilbert. He's on a 5-minute timeout. And Gilbert sometimes, when he gets too close to the aqua velva in his dad's medicine cabinet, he starts getting all active and weird. So we have to make sure that we go put him in the corner for a little while. We just have to. We have no choice. Gilbert does it to himself every time. Every time. He was a bad boy, Raul. Absolutely. Gilbert was a bad, bad boy. Mm-hmm. And thank you once again to Joe Diamond. What a fantastic guest. I had a lot of fun tonight. I didn't know which way this was going to go, and it went perfectly, in my opinion. Went perfectly. That is awesome. Absolutely awesome. So happy about that. So happy. Yes, so happy. Mm-hmm. Hey, Grandmaster, what's up? Boy, that did crash on Vancouver Island. That's kind of cool. Watching a video from Cowichan. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. If you've missed most of this show or others, do us a favor. Check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's do this thing, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the sparkling. Oh, a lot of people here on the west coast of North America got quite a light show. A lot of people in Vancouver, Seattle, down to Portland and Oregon literally witnessed a SpaceX failure. The second stage of the Falcon 9 was supposed to make a gradual re-entry back to Earth. Instead, it burned up as it hit Earth's atmosphere. The entry speed is so great that the material that it's made out of literally becomes luminous. So it basically is burning up, says Bill Berniat, community astronomer for Canadian planetariums. So the pressure is so intense that even component is made, or every component is made out of metal, will glow incandescent and burn up. So it is very bright. It's actually luminous and burning. Burning at what says what it means that the rocket failed to make a deorbit burn. Basically, if an object is in the orbit around the Earth, it doesn't need any propellant or anything to keep going around the Earth. It'll just go round and round and round. So the deorbit meant that the engine had to fire in order for it to re-enter safely and then go to its touchdown point. But because of some glitch or mix-up or some failure of some component, it didn't do that. Nope. Big explosion. I miss it because I'm stuck in a studio here in northern BC. However, I have seen a Falcon 9 rocket flying. That is really cool. That is really cool. So this thing apparently has crashed somewhere. We don't know where, but it's crashed. Rumors that some of the pieces may have fallen on Vancouver Island and spread out into the ocean in the Pacific. Oh, it's looking good. It's looking good. And you know, Elon Musk will probably just say, well, what the hell? We lost a rocket. We'll just build a new one. Make it happen. NASA will pay for it, which means the taxpayer will pay for it. Doesn't matter. Or he'll just buy a new one because he's rich that way. Wouldn't it be nice to be that rich where you could actually just say, I'm going to build a rocket and I'm going to buy one. Then I'm going to go into space and to hell with all of you. Yeah. Isn't that right? It's literally the ultimate introvert move. Literally the ultimate introvert move. But yes, it is burned up in the atmosphere. That is the light show that everyone saw, a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Kind of cool. All right, let's get to some UFOs here. Okay, sound good? Let's do it. The truth may be out there, but don't expect the feds to share what they know anytime soon on the recent spate of UFO sightings. Some military and spy agencies are blocking or simply ignoring the effort to catalog what they have on unidentified aerial phenomena, according to multiple current and former government officials. And as a result, the Biden administration will likely delay a much-anticipated public report to Congress. The Senate Intelligence Committee has asked the Director of National Intelligence to work with the Defense Department to provide a public accounting by June 25th on unexplained sightings of advanced aircraft and drones that have been reported by military personnel or captured by radar satellites and other surveillance systems. This request came after revelations in 2017 that the Pentagon was researching a series of unexplained intrusions into military airspace, including high-performance vehicles captured on video stalking Navy ships. But those advising the investigations are advocating for significantly more time and resources to retrieve information from agencies that in some cases have shown reluctance, if not outright resistance, to sharing classified information. And they worry that without high-level involvement, it will be difficult to compel agencies to release what they have. Just getting access to the information because of all the different security bureaucracies, that's an ordeal itself, says Christopher Mellon, a former Pentagon intelligence official who is now lobbying for the disclosure provision and is continuing to advise policymakers on the issue. For example, he asserts that a Pentagon task force established last August and led by the Navy has had few personnel, and only modest success acquiring reports, video, or other evidence gathered by military systems. The Pentagon Task Force is expected to be the primary military organization contributing to the wider government report. I know that the task force has been denied access to pertinent information by the Air Force, and they have been stiff-armed by them, Mellon said in an interview. That's a disappointing aspect, but not unexpected. The Air Force, which is historically most associated with UFOs from its investigations during the Cold War, deferred all questions on the subject to the Office of the Secretary of Defense, which has similarly said little publicly about the effort. To protect our people, maintain operational security, and safeguard intelligence methods, we do not publicly discuss the details of UAP observations, the task force, or investigations, said Pentagon spokesperson Susan Goff, who declined to address the criticism. She denies everything. I bet you if she went to a restaurant and the server comes up and says, "Can I take your order?" Susan Goff literally is going to say, "I cannot answer that question. I am sorry." Literally. That's the type of person she is when it comes to this subject. The report due to Congress will include a detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena, data collected by a host of means, including imaging satellites, eavesdropping equipment, and human spies. It also must include a detailed analysis of data of the FBI, which was derived from investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena data over restricted U.S. airspace. The report must contain a detailed description of interagency process for ensuring timely data collection and centralized analysis of all unidentified aerial phenomena reporting for the federal government, regardless of which service or agency acquired the information. Gathering the information from across the national security bureaucracy is an enormous challenge, according to Mellon. They have to repeat that painful process with scores of different agencies, he said, citing the Army, CIA, NRO, NSA, DIA, and the DARPA, which is known as DARPA. Oh, they got their work cut out for them. You know what? We knew this was going to happen, that they were probably going to try and delay June 1st. I think it's going to get delayed. I'm really feeling that. And we know that Luis Elizondo thinks it should be delayed for as long as it takes until they can get all the security measures cleaned up. Do it right the first time or don't do it at all. We're going to see what they do. Scary one here. Tyler DeWitt and Evan Hannibal were slowly making their way down a windswept slope during a backcountry snowboarding excursion in Colorado last spring when the shallow snow beneath them shifted and broke loose, causing an avalanche. Hannibal's helmet cam captured the moment and the tense profanity-laced exchange that followed as a slide near the Continental Divide gained momentum. The experienced backcountry snowboarders weren't injured, but the avalanche buried a service road in about 20 feet of snow and came dangerously close to Interstate 70, a major route for ski traffic. As soon as they were safe, the two men called 911 to report the slide and spent 2 hours at the scene describing what happened. They shared the video and offered to send photos. They thanked investigators for showing up. Hannibal described the interaction as very cordial. Well, weeks later, the snowboarders were stunned when they got word that they were being charged with reckless endangerment. DeWitt and Hannibal didn't immediately realize the slide destroyed an expensive avalanche mitigation system. Prosecutors are also seeking $168,000 in damages. In a rare case, some worry could deter other backcountry skiers and snowboarders from coming forward to report avalanches out of fear of costly retribution. Their trial is scheduled to begin in a week and will be closely watched by backcountry enthusiasts and avalanche prevention specialists. The 26-year-old Hannibal, who's from Vail, Colorado, said that several people had already told him that they are reporting avalanches anonymously to avoid getting slapped with charges. Most people, if not everybody that travels in the backcountry, wants to make it safer and wants to report avalanches. But as far as reporting avalanches with your name attached to it, I think that might drop significantly. Summit County District Attorney Heidi McCollum declined to address the specifics of the case, but said the charges and the possible restitution are appropriate. She disagreed that the case would deter backcountry users from reporting avalanches. Whether or not someone chooses to report any of their actions, which may have injured another person or may have injured property, is going to be within their own personal constitution. And the outcome of one misdemeanor trial in Summit County, Colorado, is not going to change what one individual would otherwise do. The March 25th, 2020 landslide, which was about 400 feet wide and ran about 1,200 vertical feet, destroyed one of 6 Obelix avalanche mitigation units in the area. The remotely operated devices are part of the statewide system to control avalanches for the Department of Transportation. They ignite a mixture of oxygen and hydrogen that causes an explosion aimed at safely triggering avalanches, which have killed 35 people across the United States so far this winter, including 12 in Colorado. Moving on. How does this happen? Honestly, how does this happen? Doctors and nurses are used to dealing with all manners of injuries and ailments, and medics in Turkey, though, were just really presented with a strange one. When a man walked into the hospital with a side ladder, or a ladder, sticking out of his head. How does that happen? Well, let's learn. Erkan Kasar was planning to do some renovations on his house when he suffered the little mishap. The 43-year-old was reportedly stretching for some tools on a high shelf, and when he grappled for his gear, the ladder fell on his head. It caused a sharp spike from a 3-step ladder to become lodged in the top of his skull. Unable to remove it, Mr. Kasar called for an ambulance to come get him loose. However, they were too unable to remove the sharp protrusion, so he had to be taken to hospital with the ladder still attached to his head. Fortunately, though, the bumpy journey to the hospital caused the ladder to come loose, and Mr. Kasar was finally able to free it himself. He told the media locally, "It is amazing. We could not take it out of my head, but it came loose itself during the ride. I'm okay now." Despite having been freed from the ladder, however, Mr. Kasar was still taken to hospital to be checked over. He was discharged later and is said to be in good health. Doctors are used to being faced with bizarre cases. For example, a man had to get a fish surgically removed from his rectum because he accidentally sat on the animal. The unnamed 30-year-old was treated by staff at a hospital in China back in June 3rd last year. Images of the animal and various x-rays showed that regardless of the method, the fish was well and truly stuck in his anus. Yes, apparently it was dead, couldn't find its way out, and definitely wasn't a mud skipper, if you know what I mean. Moving on. About 80 years after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, a veteran who died during those attacks has finally had his remains identified. The remains of William Eugene Blanchard, God bless him, who was killed at Pearl Harbor while serving on the USS Oklahoma, were identified through DNA testing conducted by an agency within the U.S. Department of Defense, the Ohio Statesman reported. Blanchard was just 24 at the time when he was aboard the warship. It was moored at Ford Island in Pearl Harbor when the ship was attacked by Japanese aircraft. The battleship was hit multiple times by torpedoes. 429 crewmen died. According to his obituary, Blanchard was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart Medal, American Defense Service Medal, and World War II Victory Medal. Since the 1950s, almost 400 sailors and Marines from the ship were buried without identification at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific in Honolulu. In 2015, officials at the Department of Defense approved DNA testing for those buried. Until then, only 6 of the buried soldiers had been identified. According to the DoD, William Eugene Blanchard's grandson, Chris Blanchard, said the soldier's son and another family member provided DNA samples. The DoD was able to identify Blanchard's legs, part of his pelvic bone, and most of his skull. Then in January, they called and said, "Yes, we've made a positive identification," Blanchard said on the phone. "My first thought was, what the heck? I mean, come on. It's been 80 years now. Is this for real?" Last summer, 2 other Pearl Harbor soldiers' remains were identified returning home. 23-year-old Navy fireman First Class Hadley Heaven and 20-year-old Navy coxswain Leighton T. Banks. Oh, man. It's amazing that DNA is now helping this out. It's for such a good cause. All right, quickly here. An entrance to a Toronto subway station was closed temporarily when a beaver wandered through the building. Commuter Will Abbott said he arrived at the Royal York subway station and spotted what he initially thought was a groundhog, but knew it wasn't. "I didn't see the tail at the beginning, so I wasn't sure what it was," then quickly turned to the side, and it was a big fat tail. I recognized it from the Really, dude? You recognized it from the nickel. From the nickel. Are you serious right now? You recognized it from the nickel? Have you never seen a beaver before? It's our national animal. Abbott snapped photos of the beaver, posted them on Twitter, and got all excited. "Look, it's the animal from the nickel." Oh my goodness. Oh my, I don't even want to know about this. I don't even want to know. That's just going to upset. How can you not tell a beaver from anything else when you see the big tail and say, "Oh, that's the animal on the nickel"? Are you kidding me right now? Do we have to go back to elementary school to learn our money system and our animals? I could rant on this guy. I really could. You know what? We had a good show tonight, and that story just upset me. It totally just upset me. How do you get that wrong? How do you get that wrong? My 7-year-old son can tell a beaver from a horse, and more than just a nickel. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What would you do if you were telepathic and could communicate with other people that way? Maybe try communicating with a beaver. Neil, most can't. It's fun for joking. Science Bob, goof on them. Goof on them. Practice practical jokes. Kate, nope. I'd be running even faster to get away from the city. James, I would not tell anybody. Ever. Adriano, I would tell people to shut it or calm down and get out of my way. Plus, I would probably be rich right now because I would be telling the cashiers to hand over the money. Don, I do not tell anyone of my gifts. It's a private thing. Michael, I can. Next question. Nikki, certain friends and I only use it for emergencies. Kimberly, I've had telepathy with someone, though they wouldn't admit to it, but funny enough, things we spoke of telepathically would turn up in their social media posts, and these things were that we never would actually speak of via email or anything. Kevin, I would psychically confess my love to Claire Forlani repetitively until she went insane. Then, in a violent, passionate fit, she would put me out of my misery, and I would haunt her for the rest of eternity. You're sick, man. Sick. Kira, humans can do this, but only if they are on the same frequency. Most don't realize it or acknowledge it. Sparkles, I have experienced telepathic communication. It is real. Captain Shirky Poo, probably spend a lot of time apologizing. It's hard enough trying not to speak everything I think. Gilbert, tell my hubster to get the kettle on. Or maybe that's Jill. Gil? No, it's 2 L's. It's Jill, I believe. Soft G. Nikki, like in Lord of the Rings? Sure, why not? Angela, I was in a restaurant with a friend. We watched a woman come in and stand in line to order. She looked so defeated. We beamed love at her. After about 30 seconds, she straightened up, looked around, and right at us. We smiled, and she just melted and smiled too. I kept thinking I needed to talk to my stepson. I was sitting in the car and in the driveway. I watched him go from the house to the barn twice, then out to the driveway and into the garage. I rolled down the window and asked what he was looking for. He said you, but I don't know why. Jim, that would be dangerous for most people. Everyone would be fighting each other. You really don't want to know what people are thinking. Barry, I've been that way my entire life. In fact, there was a scientific study conducted on me at UCLA, published in a referred medical journal on me as a telepath and some precognition thrown in on the side back in the 70s. I discovered long ago that most people do not like someone else probing around in their head, able to access information without their permission. It's invasion of privacy at a core level. Bobby, Vegas, baby. I figure a way to use it at the tables. That's the thought of the day. Thank you to everyone on Facebook and Twitter who played along. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the SOR Newswire. And, of course, to our guest tonight, Joe Diamond, JoeDiamondLive.com. If you want to see one of his Friday night virtual specials, use promo code Spaced Out Radio, all one word, all in capital letters. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight, playing along on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Heck, even you, Gilbert, tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.